Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second week of Baltic Esports League, and hey, look who we have back together with us. It is indeed our league, together with me,
Hi.
Jar of Jam, and it's such a pleasure to have you here back for our Baltic review, the best Rocket League this side of... God knows what, exactly. This side of...
Europe?
I suppose, yeah. North and Eastern Europe.
I mean, I tell you what, I was heartbroken to miss week one. The Baltic Esports League is a very special place in my heart. I think back to just a few months ago where we were all in Riga having a great time, but it's season 4 now. Times have changed. I've caught up on all the week one action, and boy, that was a week. There was some results in that one.
Sure, we did have some results. Of course, we'll go quite quickly about that one as well. See the current standings, the schedule for today, and as well, I'll just talk about. I think the main theme today will be the fact that the Team Small Brain will be making their debut in the league, as they didn't play last week, but this week they did indeed manage to do a. Well, today they are not only playing once, they're playing twice. So just like the Time Chasers last week, they will be going through a little bit of a what you may call a gauntlet.
Yeah, I mean, they're going up in their first game against a team that put 12 past post-game strong in one game. Anyway, you look at it, it is a tall order for Team Small Brain, especially considering rookies to the BESL league scene. None of these 3 players took part in Season 3 league play, let alone LAN, so they're up against it. But, as Team Black Diamond proved last week as well, in what was one of the more shocking and enthralling results of week 1, they're not invincible. More importantly, they're not invincible when they have a sub in. Of course, we had Why Not Party in that second series having to step aside for personal reasons. Stomach came in, looked solid, they ground out the win, and it's very important to emphasize they really ground it out, and I feel like that was mostly down to Trex, who of course, when Time Chasers were previously the professional ball chasers, our reigning champions, Trex was their sub. He stepped up, and we were always saying when he was a sub, man, this guy's really good. He would get onto the roster, the main roster of any other team in this league. He's there now, except he's not for this week. That's right, and the assisters chart is not playing this week. So Somic steps back in. Good news, they've got practice with him as a sub in league play as well. But not having that massive influence in the team like Trex, it really takes away from the overall outfit. Is it enough to still get past Small Brain, Jam? From my perspective, yes, it should be. But as Team Black Diamond proved, with a little bit of luck, with a little bit of ingenuity and preparation, anything's possible.
Well, there has been a lot of quality from the side of Team Black Diamond as well. I wouldn't exactly call that matchup a fluke. But just a quick look at today's games, of course, is the Time Chasers versus the Small Brain. That will be our first game on the screen, and we're preparing that as we speak. Team Small Brain then will play against the Bad Dudes. That, for me, would be a bit of a coin flip between these two teams. Obviously, both of them making their debut, and both of them being roughly on the same level. The Backflip Boys will then return after winning during the week 2 and play against Mind Games eSports. And we'll finish with Team Black Diamond faring against Imperial. That also might be pretty close. We do consider Team Black Diamond and Imperial also roughly same in terms of quality. And as a result, I'm feeling like they can potentially duke it out. There's knowing that Team Black Diamond brought our potential league winners, Time Chasers, to 5 games. I'd say they have enough quality to duke it out against Imperial as well.
Yeah, I'd honestly say, looking at this first game, this is probably as close to a match with a clear favourite as we're going to get today. And as I say, even then, there's a bit of an unknown with Sonic coming into the team in place of Trex. So I think we're in line for a great week. looking further down the line, I'm interested to see how Bad Dudes bounce back. I don't think a clean sweep loss against Backflip Boys is too disheartening, especially since Backflip Boys, one of the only rosters to keep their 3 players together over the offseason, and remember, a team that made it to LAN. I don't think there's any harm in losing to those guys. Mind Games, I've got to be honest with you, I'm impressed. I was really impressed with them last week. It was a tough fought game against Imperial, and as impressed I was with Mind Games eSports, I think there's a lot more to come from Imperial as well, and they will need that more to come if they are to overcome a Black Diamond squad, which I want to emphasize. I said there was a little bit of luck, but you're right, there was a lot of heart and a lot of really good play from that Black Diamond squad. So yes, I think it's going to be a fascinating week ahead. Of course, it all starts with our first game of Time Chasers and Team Small Brain. I'm going to be honest with you, Jam, any victory within this series for Team Small Brain is a massive victory. To take one game off Time Chasers for any team this season is going to be a big victory, I feel.
I would like to remind everyone that Time Chasers, before the season has started, we've asked them, what are your goals for the season? They said, we don't want to lose a single game.
They've already lost 2, to be fair.
Their very first week, they lost 2, and they were on the cusp of losing the whole series as a result. This could have been pretty tough for them. They managed to eke it through, but that was a little bit nervous for them, let's just say that. We haven't had a chance to talk with them just yet and ask what their new revised goal is. But I do know that the post-game strong, their plan is to win at least one game now. So that's reassuring, I'd say.
Post-game strong have gotten their worst game out of the way, and you might remember last season that they had a stormer of a week 2. Of course, they're the only team not playing this week, so they can't have that same redemption arc, but what they can do is they can have this extra week of just looking at every other team that they are going to face. As I say, once you face Time Chasers, every game from there on out is probably going to be easier unless someone really turns up on their day. The worry for Time Chasers again is that they're missing Trex today, and don't get me wrong, the team is still very, very good without Trex. They have all 3 players at the top of the scoring charts. The only person to come close to them in terms of creating an attacking quality is actually in the assisters chart. So check this out for stats. Goals for each of these players: Trex 17, Fipai 12. Why Not Party 3rd on 8, and he only played 1 series out of the 2. Looking at the assists, Trex 18, so you can see why I feel it's a bit of a problem that he's not here. Fipai 11, Why Not Party 9. Actually, no, sorry, it was in the goals chart. I can't read my own notes. Frosty was pretty close on goals. He actually scored 8. But again, it's a great team. It's a great team, and even with Somic in for Trex, I'm expecting them to 3-0 sweep this one.
Yeah, this should be an expected result. So let's indeed get to the bottom of this first game, as we are slowly getting the players coming into the servers. We will just quickly talk about just exactly who is representing who. Of course, on Team Small Brain, it's Mexman, Rico, and Peta. On the side of Time Chasers, this time a fully Lithuanian squad: Mimfipai, Why Not Party, and Samic, all playing for the same wonderful country of Lithuania. And I cannot agree with you more on the fact that it should be a sweep, despite them not having Trex. And Trex, last week, him being able to play with the sound in-game and him without the sound, 2 completely different levels of play. He could not perform on the same level. That hindered his play. That was almost the reason why they could have lost. But then the moment he got back, solved his technical issues, it changed. You immediately could see that he just swept everyone. So while that quality is missing, Nymphipai, our player from our second best team last season, Why Not Party, our very own inaugural champion of the first season of BSL Rocket League. There is already enough quality in just 2 of those players. And then Samic. I remember you mentioning that any other situation, Samic, in any other team, he would be on the main roster. Here he is as sub. So that already means something. Someone who's qualified to play on any team in our league, being a sub for the strongest team, you know already that even in him, Time Chasers definitely have quality.
Yeah, I mean, nice. To be fair, the quote was more about Trex from last season, but it is very much the same apply to Sonic this season. I remind you, if you didn't watch Season 3, Sonic V2 used to be on Spectre, another team, one of the 4 teams that made it to LAN for Season 3. So, yeah, he's pretty good. I wouldn't worry too much, and especially knowing in advance that he's going to be playing this week. Obviously, more time to prepare, more time to synergize with the entire team. But, Jam, we're about to head on into Game 1. I'm going to flip the roles around. I'm going to take control. And I'm going to ask you for a prediction.
It's a 3-0 in favor of Time Chasers. I don't think you'll get any different answer from me. It's that obvious.
And we are agreed. And week 2 can finally get underway. It is going to be Time Chasers in the blue. And in the orange, it is going to be small... Is that a Scarab? Is that a... Wow.
Oh.
Peter, you are now my new favorite player.
Not just a Scarab, it's a Scarab with a clown hat.
Excellent. Well,
hair, I
certainly
suppose.
hope...
Oh my god. As every single time this appears on my screen, the overall color scheme just screams at me.
Maybe the idea is to try and distract the Time Chasers. Maybe that's the idea. What they don't want is an open net, and Mex is going to rotate around to make the save. Mex now going into the offense. Stomach gets there first. Minfipai looking for the inward pass to Why Not Party. Pater with the challenge. Here comes Minfipai. Mex and him both ending up with a 50-50 on that one as well. Pater has to get up to try and get the ball over to the other side. It's literally going from side to side. It's like a doubles tennis match at the moment, just trying to find the best opening to get over to the other side of the court. Why Not Party trying to find Minfipai. Big save from Mex there in net. First minute comes and goes, and so far, actually, fair play to Team Small Brain. They have dealt well with the Time Chasers' threats.
Then again, you could see that the moment Time Chasers were able to retreat back and start that set of play, immediately the threat came in. Well, nobody... Oh, I say nobody. Somehow Minfipai sneaks past all of the players, and even being demolished, he still gets himself an opportunity because Why Not Party set him up beautifully. And this is one thing you can definitely expect from Time Chasers. This is how they scored mania goals last week against Postgame Strong. Nobody was clearing that backboard, and as a result, those passes from the backboard were just coming in thick and fast, and always there was someone from Time Chasers picking it up on the ground.
There's a bizarre miscommunication there. There's almost a bizarre miscommunication there in the offense. Mex, just wrong place to try and get the shot off. Rico trying to get this one in as Pater misses the ball completely. Mex again, all 3 orange players currently surrounding... Oh, the centre box! Someone get on the end of the ball! Please, Small Brain, you had a great chance there to score. Another one comes to begging. Pater over the top of 2. Mex is met by Minfipai. Rico! Off the post! Pater! Finally! Goodness me, how many chances do you want? It's a tie game.
Oh, that small touch by Rico. He led the ball to the corner away from hands of Why Not Party, and that allowed him to still set up. It already escaped me who was that, the last defender in the net. But Team Small Brain do get themselves a goal in the first game pretty openly. All right, Time Chasers, you have yourself an opponent, and this is this is going to the net, and this is an own goal. Why Not Party? Brilliant touch. It's just that it's in the wrong direction.
Scarab OP! Scarab OP, he forced Why Not Party into the mistake. Team Small Brain, more like Team Big Brain play. Poggers, they lead in game number 1 in a series which we both predicted to be a 3-0 sweep. Of course, we realise there are still 3 minutes on the clock. It could all change on a dime very quickly. This is Time Chasers we're talking about, but they can score. They can score and they can force mistakes. That is much better than any of us gave them credit for. Down the other end of the pitch we go. They're back into the Time Chasers half. It's Why Not Party trying to find Minfipai, but Minfipai was well ahead of the ball. Somic with the long ball downfield. Pater's going to throw this one off to the corner, taking save. Oh, that's a real tough one, but look at that. Rico back in net. Rotations coming through well. Mex round the corner. Why Not Party? Easy dealt with. Look at the challenge coming in from Pater, though. No fear from Small Brain. Is this just naivety or a bit of confidence? Maybe it's a bit of both, Jam, but I'm loving this.
I'm loving what I'm seeing from Team Small Brain myself. Really, that save, that rotation that they made, really there were under no threat rather. But it just shows that when it's not too crazy in their own side, they know exactly what they need to do, where they need to be. Double commit by Stomach and Why Not Party. I'm not loving that. That could spell trouble, and if Rico can drop it for his teammate, that could have been a great 3-player setup.
They're well aware of where everyone is. Make no mistake, folks, this isn't necessarily Time Chasers playing bad. They're by no means playing as good as we've seen them in week number 1 against post-game strong, but there is something to this Team Small Brain squad. Yes, they're making a couple of whiffs. Oh, I'm in fit by. But look at that! The rotations again coming through. Mex with the save this time. These are good plays. This is really good play. I mean, Fitby though on target, and Rico was helpless, standing still. There's the equalizer. There's the quality we've come to expect.
Well, there are 3 things that are certain in this life. Death taxes and Time Chasers, if they sit in your half for such a long time, eventually they will score. Team Small Brain can make that first save, maybe make that second save, but those prolonged attacks, you just see that the Time Chasers have used that space for themselves so well, and these shots are so threatening that it's almost nobody right now in the league can deal with that. So far, we've only seen 2 teams try, 3 teams try to deal with them, with Team Small Brain being the third, and Team Black Diamond came pretty close to disarming what Time Chasers' game plan was.
Oh.
But look at that, more lovely shots. The moment they get out of their own half, now the threat is on the other end of the field. Team Small Brain know exactly how to siege. Perhaps not as dangerous as Time Chasers, but they're really testing out that defense, seeing how well they will react, how well they can clear that ball.
Hey, who needs strikers when you can have excellent winger play like this? The ball teetering on the line. Rico misses the ball, and that was a golden opportunity to re-establish the lead for Small Brain at what is a crucial time in the game. Oh, big save from Rico there to deny. Minfipai, remember, this was the super team pre-season. This was the super team. You have the LAN winner. You have the man who was the runner-up to the LAN winner in Minfipai, and you have the super sub Trex. You have Somic, at least as their sub. Not this time, of course, but you have Somic, their sub. But Team Small Brain, widely tipped for bottom of the table, along with the likes of maybe post-game strong, perhaps. They've taken them to overtime in game number 1 and look as likely to win it as their top-of-the-table rivals.
It is a strange start to this day, but it only makes it that much more exciting, I'd say. Wow. The fact that Team Small Brain are roughly on the same level, though again, another attack starts. They need to be dangerous, and that bump, that team bump, might just spell trouble. Almost did. Rotation good, but the ball in front of a net. A tattoo off, Sonic misses. Wow, a sitter. And yet he can't convert. Now counterattack might start because the players are missing in the defense of Time Chasers.
Well, the worst, or the most difficult opportunities, they say, are the most easiest as well. Pressure gets to you, why not Party taking up Minfipai? And those two together, you had a feeling about what was going to happen next. Great effort from Team Small Brain, but they cannot deny the quality of Time Chasers. They take game number 1 in this series.
Close one. By no means this was a total and utter domination that we previously have seen from Time Chasers. And wow, just wow is all I have to say. Welcome to BSL, Team Small Brain. You did well. The way that you've been playing, again, the only comparisons really that I can bring right now is post-game strong. Post-game strong, where just whatever Time Chasers wanted to do with post-game strong, they did to them. It was that crazy. It was that just, we don't see another team on the field because those passes were going so fast and around the players of post-game strong so quickly that it's almost as if they didn't participate in that game. Time Chasers didn't care. This time, Time Chasers can't possibly disregard the fact that Team Small Brain will always be bringing the players in.
No.
Well, I can assume that Time Chasers will now adjust a little bit, and we saw something like that last week as well, but it's not a domination, and so the Time Chasers no longer can consider, hey, we are an absolute force, a gale force in this league. No, we do still have to work really hard for this. They haven't brought all their guns yet, though, and I'm afraid of the moment when that is going to happen.
I think the same can be said of Team Small Brain, though. Don't get me wrong, they had a little bit of lady luck on their side with the own goal via Why Not Party. I don't think that scoreline flatters them, though. I think they thoroughly deserved to at least be in the conversation, say, hey, you know, we should have had that draw. 100%. They absolutely deserved overtime for their efforts. And they can take confidence going into game number 2. Time Chasers, Team Black Diamond proved it last week as well. They are not unstoppable, especially when they are not at full force, as they will be today. Miscommunication in defense. Why Not Party takes control. Into the center. Pater misses the shot, and that's not the first time that we've said that Team Small Brain have missed a shot, especially on an open net. Why Not Party? Rico meets it. Mex does get it over the top of Somic, but doesn't get the clearance too much. Minfitby on his own. Mex takes control for himself. Gets it past Somic as well. Open net! Shoot! Pater scores! Less than a minute on the clock, and Small Brain take the lead again!
Summit got skinned on that wall, and quick thinking by Peta to go out in the attack guarantees that the goal is made. Mex pretty much had the net at his mercy already, but with the help of his teammate, they really put the ball away from their defenders. Another thing that was really dangerous last time, it of course was the kickoffs. Quite often Time Chasers would just go straight from the kickoff. Here though, holding on pretty well. But look at that, already setting up the position. Minfitby just waiting in the center. The moment the chance comes to them, he will be there looking for any rebounds. So this Team Small Brain really need to be careful. Whenever they clear the ball, it can't possibly be straight to the Time Chasers player like just happened there.
You know what, Jam? I'm going to point something out as well, which we haven't really noticed at the beginning of this game. Pater has changed cars to the Octane. Methinks that Small Brain feel that they have a chance to win this game as well. Before it was like, haha, we'll take the L. You know, it's good GG's, lads. Somic V2 missing the double touch. What a Goomba stomp on Mex, though, in net. Why Not Party picks up the pieces, equalizes the game. But I really do think that there is a tone shift as well for this Small Brain squad. They see kinks in the armor, and they're going to try and exploit them. Maybe take an unlikely win in our first series of the day.
At the beginning of the series, I would have think you're mad, Arleek. Now, watching exactly how Team Small Brain play, and for all of us, this is like our first introduction to exactly what they're doing. A little bit too high, a little bit too high again. 2 attempts, double commit though, and if they can recover quickly, they can still continue this attack. Why Not Party just setting it up, still with the ball. But I think by this point, the Team Small Brain have lost all the boost in the attack and will do the wise thing of retreating rather than continuing what could be a deadly counterattack going their way.
Well, there might be no mountain high enough, but there certainly is a crossbar low enough, and it's denied Team Small Brain from taking back the lead. What a fascinating encounter. Half-time, game 2. Somic on target. Rico with the save for the cameras. Pater with an acrobatic save off the backboard. That's some good mechanical play from Pater. Again, it shouldn't shock me seeing what they've done so far, but oh, a big miss from Rico there. Here comes Mex over to the firewall. He was totally aware of where Rico was, by the way. Just Rico wasn't on the same wavelength. Minfitby with no boost. Leaves it to Pater. Why Not Party with the save in net? Here comes Rico. Kind of fluffs his shot there. Why Not Party easily back into the center to Somic. Good passing play, but Somic again fluffs his shot. Pater with an extra touch over the top of Minfitby. Why Not Party over to the far side. Going to leave this to Somic, but Rico gets there first. He whiffs it again. Calm down, my friend. Calm down. You had time on the ball. Pater into the center, off the backboard. Why Not Party? Up high, there's Rico again. First to the ball, high pressing game working so well for Team Small Brain. Counter-attack is on. Pater's in net, deals with it comfortably.
And right now, you see Time Chasers not really being able to execute their game plan. That's how it looks to me.
Passes.
Especially with the fact that Team Small Brain do concede on this attack, what was looking for a longest periods of time, a game in which they were equal to their opponents, but that 50-50, and with the game going a 50-50 really on the field as well, that does put a dent in their plans just a little bit. But with the way that Team Small Brain have been able to break down through the midfield line to neutralize any of the attacks by Time Chasers, well, majority of attacks by Time Chasers, this one doesn't count. This one Perhaps I was speaking a little bit too hastily, but most of the time it's not like that. You see exactly what they're doing. A great doink. Anyone in the follow-up? Unfortunately not. Perhaps Demolition would have worked better in that attempt. But you could see Team Small Brain not afraid of their opposition, and just being able to break through like that already gives them 100 points be up front. Not up front, I suppose, against their opposition. Whatever the metaphor I was going for, all I'm trying to say, Team Small Brain, be careful. You can do this, but please be careful.
I tell you what their final factor which they're missing is, Jam. They are panicking. And rather ironically, in going more serious with Peter switching it up to the Octane, he's honestly kind of putting more pressure on himself. Mex! Well, you see those sorts of goals in football all the time where it's good to just hit the ball into the ground, get the bounce and deceive the keeper. It worked again, 30 seconds left, it's 3-2.
But you can see extra aggressive playstyle by Team Small Brain. All three players in the attack after that ball bounced favorably straight off the kickoff. That extra aggressive playstyle can be good in some situations. Might be detrimental to you in the end. So far, I really haven't seen Team Small Brain conceding on counterattack as much, as mostly those were some mistakes in the defense that led to that. It might work for them, but the Time Chasers, both you and I know rather that Team Chasers are so able to start a quick attack, moving the ball with the passes across the field in no time. And here, another close game, another 3-2. And the Time Chasers are getting tested yet again. Long gone is that crazy amount of goals that they've scored first week against Post-Game Strong. Team Small Brain are taking Time Chasers for a walk, and the margins are small. The margins are incredibly small. While Time Chasers are still the better team on the field, Team Small Brain still have their moments of brilliance, and they still know exactly where to put the pressure on their opposition Time Chasers to make it hurt.
So let's go deeper. This one didn't go to overtime. It could very easily have gone to overtime. We know that Small Brain missed 1-2 big opportunities. That said, Somic missed an open net himself. There was twice that Small Brain hit the crossbar. And you can see in the number of shots, Time Chasers are still the more creative outfit. They are creating more opportunities. What Team Small Brain is doing is they're taking a bigger percentage of theirs. Time Chasers actually been quite wasteful overall. And I do wonder whether there's a bit of complacency as well. We saw Why Not Party, a team captain of Time Chasers, despite being the youngest member of the team, saying, nice shot, or basically trolling Somic for missing an open net, right? I still question whether they are taking Small Brain seriously, and whether that complacency might lead to a loss at some point. Certainly, if you are the neutral supporter, I get a feeling that you unanimously are all supporting the same person, and or the same team, and that's the underdog right now. Let's see how Game 3 goes. Anyway, of course, if Time Chasers win this game, then it's all over. It's a 3-0 sweep. But Team Small Brain have certainly put themselves on the radar of everyone today. Do not be mistaken of that. Why Not Party into the corner, goes over the top of Rico, miss from Mex. Minfipai tries to play Mex, but he leaves it to Rico, who knocks it down, and Peter has to save the blushes of Rico there with a save. Peter, Somic V2 winning the 50-50, and to be fair to him, although he's not been too efficient in front of goal, he has been very good in winning the 50-50s, and that has led directly to Why Not Party and Time Chasers for the first time today, Jam, taking the first lead of the game.
It is a strange thing to say, but it just all came out of the Team Small Brain. They're clear. They had an good idea for a clear. Yep, we were gonna play on the backboard. We'll pass it to Peta, who is already running up front. But they were a little late to that. Players already up in the attack, and as a result, just a good return by Time Chasers. They had their old players in a row ready to start an attack themselves. which allowed them to just go. And why not Party lingering in defense and already set up something for Time Chasers. If he doesn't set it up, then bounce off the back wall, and a double tap by Minfibai does get the job done. This is how easily Time Chasers can turn an unfortunate attack, or at least really an attack that doesn't look like anything, to something extremely dangerous. And every single opponent, not just Team Small Brain, should be aware of that, just how ready they are to put the players up front and make attempts at unit.
It's one for the highlight reel, isn't it? And look at Pater trying to fake out Minfibai. Not today, son, not today. But that was, I tell you what, that goal again was from Sonic V2 winning a 50-50 in the midfield. Rico, soft touch, and that's straight to Minfibai. The midfield is where Time Chasers are starting to find a lot of positives to take from this game. And once again, it goes back to that earlier criticism of panic sets in. And once panic sets in, you start to lose control of the midfield. And if you lose control of the midfield, then all of a sudden you find yourself in a world of hurt. And Minfibai now turning on the style, not even half time. And already the Time Chasers have the 3 goals that they have scored in every game up until this point.
And finally, Time Chasers have started bringing the ball up in the air, and the air place and the backboard is still the area where teams like Team Small Brain and Team Strong are struggling just a tad. A little bit of a fluke. Peta still gets it past everyone. Great touch, though. He got there earlier. He got there and with an angle that really beat even the cheated player who was cheating up on the side of Time Chasers. And as a result, well, this is a little bit of an improvement, but this is by no way that the goal that Team Small Brain really has worked hard for. You said it, they have been just kept in their own half for a majority of game number 3. And as a result, they've just been bombarded by attempts like that. Another aerial shot, another missed attempt, and it's another clear that didn't exactly go their way. It's really, majority of the goals so far against Team Small Brain are following roughly the same pattern. A player either gets a touch, but that touch immediately goes to Time Chasers, or they get beat on the wall, then an attempt comes in and it's a miss, and a third player in the defense that is left, most often than not, is not being able to make a save against Time Chasers just swooping in.
Minfibai with the back pass to Why Not Party, gets it over the top of Pater, in comes Mex. Why Not Party with the win? And if Small Brain are to potentially challenge for LAN, and I believe, on the back of this performance, I believe that they have the fundamentals there to challenge for the top 4 this season. They're gonna have to learn not just to close out games, but to grind it out in the midfield, as we saw from Trex against Team Black Diamond last week. A 5-1 is bruising, especially after all the effort put in. Still 2 minutes remaining on the clock for a comeback potentially, although it'd be a big ask from here. Minfibai takes the ball from Pater's knockdown. Why Not Party? Oh my word. Oh my word. That's a special goal.
Alright, so these are out of the bag now. Why Not Party follows that ball perfectly. Even with the player on the backboard, Team Small Brain are unable to clear that through. And Why Not Party as if nothing was restricting him, as if nobody was challenging him, despite there being players on the wall, in the net, and they're going for another one. Look at that, slowing down the play and then setting up his teammates up front. Minfibai already waiting. Yep, Time Chasers are finally decided to put all the resources, and this is how Time Chasers look when they are really going up for it, and when every single thing that they do clicks into place. That's the power that this team has. And bam, small pass, still somehow carves into the net. Sami get themselves on the board in this game for the first time. All of this previously was Minfibai and his teammate Why Not Party, but this is a mess. 5 players involved. 7th goal, and this is Brazil, our first Brazil of the season, and man, it just stinks.
Hey guys, it's a Rocket League meme, which is also a football meme. Oh boy, and I think this is a tale of 2 halves. Oh, Rico just missing again. Another opportunity coming his way, and he missed it. This is 2 factors for me, game number 3, Jam. Why Not Party in particular, not complacent. Mex getting another goal. 7-2, Brazil denied for endgame at least. Why Not Party has actually turned up. It's night and day. Games 1 and 2 to game 3. And whether that's complacency or whether it's not, I don't know. I think complacency's been a big criticism that I've had of him in a couple of games gone by. He can afford to be complacent at times. Fair play. He is a very, very talented young Rocket League player. But I don't like to see that personally just from an optimistic sportsmanship perspective. That said, I also think that Team Small Brain, all of that confidence, almost that beautiful childish naivety, we can beat Time Chasers, we can get a win on the board, it's evaporated. Again, they're panicking more, they're being not even forced, they are making unforced errors rather. And actually I've just thought of a third factor as well. Luck has run out. There have been some goals, there have been so many 50-50 challenges as well, where it's just not gone their way. It's not gone their way, and now they're trying to overcommit, and been fit by the entire orange side of the field beckons as he was up 1v1. Rico, I think, is finally going to get a goal. There we go, 7-3. So even in the face of adversity, good spirit, good heart from Team Small Brain, but ultimately, as good an effort as it was, the final, the history books will say, Jam, it's a 3-0 sweep to Time Chasers, and ultimately, you can't say that they haven't deserved it.
It was clearly shown in this game number 3, and as the ball drops down, and as Time Chasers do take this, it took them a while. It could have been much quicker, but they still managed to break this down, but by no means this was an easy task, and could this be down to Peta's clown car? Could it be down to the fact that it felt to me, honestly, that Time Chasers game number 1 and game number 2 weren't exactly giving us their all. It's only in the game number 3 when they finally have started to really pushing up for those backboard plays, to just going for the moves that will have 100% chance, or close to 100% chance of beating their opposition. Plays on the ground more often than not were stopped by Team Small Brain. So any team that is not able to use aerial play as well as Time Chasers will have a hard time against Team Small Brain. That's their one saving grace. Again, just like for the post-game strong, the hardest matchup of the season is now out of the window. And I don't think anyone can disagree that they've been valiantly fighting against Time Chasers, and given it their all, and that all was looking pretty darn good.
Well, we'll delve in deeper to the analysis, and I'm going to tell you a little story, folks, about the Scarab when we return. But for now, it's a quick break. We will see you after these messages.
Tisztel Janc ütővéma a Celtic 10-0 labásimo Gallini signetra prednje Slavia Pujam Betama Otrukov ja od montáčov stala lava Tišanskaj Ja viņš atgādināt spēlēt šogad
Ir mirkļi, kas nevar gaidīt. Paņem tos līdzi, lai kur tu būtu. Helio ITV televīzija, kas pielāgojas tev.
We're 1,000 miles from comfort. We have traveled land and sea. But as long as you are with me, there's no place I'd rather be. I would wait forever, exalted in the sea. As long as I am with you, my heart continues to beat. With every step we take, Kyoto to the bay, strolling so casually. We're different and the same. Yeah, you and I remain. Switch up the batteries.
Helio piedāvā.
Mēs no tā visa varam uztaisīt kārtīgu weekend balīti. Tu esi Andris kā vecajos laikos.
Lai kādos piedzīvojumos tu dotos, Helio ITV un Shortcut vienmēr tev līdzi. Skaties, kur un kā vēlies.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to BSL Week 2 of the action. I'm still Jarjam. To the right of me, indeed he is, it's our league, and we just saw two teams play, and these two teams were indeed Time Chasers and Team Small Brain. We will be seeing Team Small Brain in a moment in their second series of the day. But first, let's just do talk quickly about what we just saw. Of course, it was a 3-0. But unlike the 3-0 that the Time Chasers have delivered during the first week versus post-game strong, this was a much closer affair, and I do think that it is in a lot thanks to just the quality that Team Small Brain shown. We perhaps weren't expecting that, but this is their first week, and I'd say for the first week performance, especially in that first game and the second game, I'd say they've proven themselves to be a threat in this league.
I promised you a story about the Scarab.
Yeah, please do.
Jam. Now, a lot of people look at me, look at Wavepunk, and we both have a common interest in people using unique cars in Rocket League. It looks nice. It's nice to see different rosters being used, but the Scarab is most interesting because of just the design of it, and you can never really tell. I think Sunless Khan, for example, did a great video on using the Scarab for an extended period of time in League play, and he couldn't fully predict anywhere near as much as when he was using an Octane or a Dominus, where his own balls would go, and he found himself being able to do unique flicks, which he couldn't do with an Octane or Dominus either. It's an air of mystery, and it's an air of unpredictability. And if I was Team Small Brain, I would stick with that methodology, because it threw what was choose your method, an unprepared, a complacent, or whatever you decide on that particular one, Time Chasers team for a loop. They almost nicked. swept that first game. They took it to overtime against all the odds, against all of the naysayers, including us two. So I think that Team Small Brain should almost revert to that take it easy approach. Expect a loss, play for fun, and playing for fun often encourages your best gameplay, in my opinion at least. I know it's different for different players, but you could see it in Small Brain. They were enjoying upsetting the apple cart. And against Bad Dudes, I mean, we talked about them potentially taking wins, potentially taking games off Time Chasers. They should be feeling so confident against Bad Dudes, who came up against Backflip Boys and got comfortably 3-0 swept by them. We rate Time Chasers ahead of Backflip Boys. Team Small Brain looked competitive against Time Chasers. So what's not to say that Team Small Brain should be expecting any different a result as Backflip Boys had against Bad Dudes? I think it's going to be a closer game, but the confidence should be there that they can get something from this.
It's absolutely possible, and let's indeed start talking about that game. Obviously, just to quickly mention what exactly happened in the previous game. Just a specific stat that I want to mention is the fact that Time Chasers managed to get almost every single of their goals assisted. That's 13 goals, 11 assists. As a result, it just shows that their game plan is passing plays. They always have a lot of players making sure that the ball goes on forward, or how they moving the ball around the field. For Team Small Brain, that is less than 50% of their goals were assisted. As a result, we mentioned that it's a couple of them were fluked, a couple of them were lucky ones, but it's just how the game went. We're obviously basing this only on 3 games, and as the season goes on, we will see more about Small Brain's play. But you do have a counterpoint, it seems, to that.
They did miss a lot of chances. In particular, Rico missed a lot of chances, and that would have significantly upped their number of goals, which were assisted directly. And so, as I say, the potential's there. The word I used was the fundamentals are in place for this team to be top 4, 100%.
Right, well, I think we can now move on to our second game of the day. We already mentioned it. Of course, it will be Team Small Brain versus the Bad Dudes. And indeed, the Bad Dudes today will be playing with their substitution. Kobe Jack, we saw him last week, today is out. Skunk is playing in his place. So a fully Estonian squad this time for Bad Dudes versus Team Small Brain, who already got an introduction, a pretty solid one. Maxman, Rico, another Estonian player, and of course Peita. Peita, I think, have surprised us all. And would you agree that Peita might be right now the strongest player on Team Small Brain side?
In the Scarab, yes. In the Octane, I was a big fan of Mex. I think that he was the one person who was consistently showing great rotational awareness. I mean, he was coming back making loads of important saves as well against some very decent Time Chaser shots on net. He was, I don't have the stats to back it up, but certainly just from a commentator's eye, he was the one who was getting on the ends of good opportunities down the other side of the pitch as well. He was one who you could count on to score the goals, in direct contrast to Rico. So I think Mex, they'll be looking to for that consistency. Yo, Peita, just use the Scarab. Use the Scarab. Harness its power, its chaotic evil.
It's gonna work. It's gonna work. I mean, I really loved how Peita was playing with Scarab, then without it. It's that it's just the shock factor. You will feel bad when somebody's scoring with that clown car Scarab against you. So it's just a demoralizing factor. Think of that. Think of how pleased you will be when you're scoring with that Scarab. But seemingly he was willing to make a more of a serious approach to the game. I don't think that helped, and of course it's much more than that. But as we joke, that was a pretty good car to start the day off.
I mean, I joked that it was potentially to distract the Time Chasers, but again, there's an unpredictability to it, which, I mean, when you go up against a team like Time Chasers, irrespective of whether they've got their sub in or not, you need every advantage you can get. Maybe it is more worth going for the Octane in this particular game. It depends on how confident in their own abilities Team Small Brain are. I've got this one down as a 3-1 jam in favor of Team Small Brain. That's actually a revision of what was a 3-2 win for Bad Dudes. Of course, it's early season. We hadn't seen Team Small Brain up until literally last game, and so we only really had Bad Dudes' performance to go off, and the fact that Bad Dudes had that one game experience in hand going into this week, being able to practice on some of the flaws that were exposed by Backflip Boys, you know, it's a natural advantage to have. But yeah, Team Small Brain have shown more than enough to me that they should be comfortably winning this series.
Yeah, I think you took the result out of my mouth, really. 3-1 is what I'm thinking also for Team Small Brain to win this matchup with Bad Dudes. Last week playing against the Backflip Boys, I'd say it wasn't demolition. I believe all games went to 2-0, or it was 2 2-0s and then a 3-0. But the Backflip Boys, as we'll be seeing them later, I hope they made some adjustment, because I'd say it was a poor performance by the Backflip Boys rather than something tremendous by the Bad Dudes. I could be wrong, and the Bad Dudes might come in swinging right now, really taking it to Team Small Brain, but I still don't feel like, after the performance we just seen from Small Brain, that the Bad Dudes do have a lot really coming their way. It was just seeing the Team Small Brain's aggressive plays that they were able to really bring it to the strongest teams in the league. And now that we're speaking about the Bad Dudes, they perhaps are not the weakest, but definitely would consider to be them a team that most likely will end up in the bottom half of the league table by the end of the season.
Boy, have I got a stat to prove you wrong when it comes to the Backflip Boy games. Or the Backflip Boys game. There we go, put your S in the right place. Let's get this second series underway then. Team Small Brain with their second series in a row. Bad Dudes coming in off the back of a humbling against the Backflip Boys in week number 1. Bad Dudes themselves playing with a sub, but when you didn't score a single goal in week number 1, I don't think that's going to be to too much of their detriment that they have got a sub in. It is going to be Team Small Brain in the blue. It's going to be Bad Dudes in the orange. And Peter, you'll be interested to know, has stuck with the Octane. Take from that what you will. Let's get kicked off in game number 1. Haloom. Rico with the wayward ball towards net. Is that a Maverick? Oh, so good. Love the Maverick. Got Maverick and a Fennec on the same team as well, so look out for those power shots coming out from Bad Dudes. One skunk with the pinch, yeah, off the Maverick, so you can already see that they're using that card to its fullest advantage. Rico over to the far wall, great awareness, finds Mex over there. He's going to go for the infield pass, gets it over the top of one skunk, and Mex fluffs the shot. I was talking about his consistency earlier on. I've been made to look like a fool.
That was a pretty tough angle for him to take anyway. The initial shot was great, but a tad off target, and then just the return, not exactly his shot to take. Well, but that was a great approach, but Bad Dudes, I think, so far in the opening minute, are keeping up the same pace as their opposition is showing. So this could shape up to be an interesting series. Again, Bad Dudes, after just one showing with 0 goals, and spending that 1 week, hopefully preparing and getting their Estonian colleague to play with them, seems like they can put up a big opposition to Team Small Brain.
One skunk taking a bit long to settle into the game, looking a little bit out of sorts with the rotation. Peter off to the corner. Here comes Haloom. Tries to gazump Rico and sell him the dummy, but doesn't on this occasion. Dr. Zool's not able to get past Peter, and Mex tries to clear up, but one skunk coming in with a challenge, wins out. Haloom stops the clearance. Into the corner, follows up with 39% boost. Oh, and one skunk capitalizes on a big miss from the defender in net there. Let's see, was it Mex? It was Mex. So the second big mistake, at least in my opinion, from him this game, throwing consistency out the window. And one skunk, the one person who looked most out of sorts for Team Bad Dudes, gets the first goal of this game. It's 1-0.
Just out of place, a tad, not reacting to Mex. What a great chance for a double tap. Flies in straight off the kickoff, but can't find himself the target. I think it's a little bit too close. Maybe Peter. No, Mex this time is a little bit too far. They're not able to really bring it immediately on the attack. And another bounce, not really going Team Small Brain's way. That's what, again, I feel like cost them the goal, is the fact that Two players missed, but also the Mex wasn't ready in the net for the ball to go exactly that way. And that positioning betrayed him.
Peter. Once going to take Mex out of the equation in net, but Rico and Peter just by themselves are able to deal with the threat on this right wing. Around the corner, one skunk. With the haphazard clearance, Dr. Zool comes in to try and rescue the situation. Shot on net from Peter, shot on net from Rico. No, it's just wide. Dr. Zool wins the 50-50. Peter beats Haloum to the ball. Dr. Zool with the block. Here comes Mex on target. One skunk with an easy save. 2 minutes left on the clock. Rico meets the challenge in midair. Peter over the top of Dr. Zool. There's a shot on target. Again, another easy save for one skunk. Mex and Peter double committing. On target though. Net wide open. And Rico picking up the mantle of Mr. Consistency. The man you can rely on. It's a tie game.
Still, that double commit didn't cost Team Small Brain anything in their own defense. They were able to keep the ball in, despite I don't think Peter had any business in staying up there for such a long time. Not an angle, not enough power. But you could see that the Bad Dudes just lost 2 defenders on that play, and the third one was nowhere to be seen, which opened up the net for Team Small Brain. And this time, they do convert. I do also feel that, as a dangerous shot comes in, I do also feel that the Team Small Brain finally have themselves a little bit more breathing space on the field. In the previous game against Time Chasers, they will constantly boost starve, which again just ties in the overall dominance of Time Chasers, the fact that they were not allowing their opposition to really use much boost on the field. Here though, it's a different story. So you will see Team Small Brain perhaps going for many more of these chances or being much more efficient, with plenty more boost in attack.
I almost feel like they've been gifted too much time, though. Another good shot coming in from one skunk required an acrobatics save from Peter. Rico, it's Peter actually with the clearance there, Rico leaving it. One skunk sends it right back to where it came from. Haloum round the corner. Mex, the clearance downfield. One skunk in rotation, passes over to Dr. Zool. Dr. Zool goes up high. Follows this one, down. Peter gets the touch before. Mex, here comes Peter again. Rico, nice team play. One skunk's there in the net to deal with that one, and Peter's left to make the clearance for the blue team. Dr. Zool off the top of the box, misses the touch. Mex though, nice touch to bring it down, pops it up over. Rico tried to get the touch there. Haloum was there first. Peter, bump out of net for Dr. Zool. Mex hits the post! And with if he'd gone the other side of one skunk, that might have been 2-1. But as things stand, it looks like we're heading to overtime, Jam.
Oof. Another first game, another overtime. This time, Team Small Brain not exactly chasing their opposition that much, but they are struggling to really put that end to it. There you have it. Team Small Brain, previously they've lost that overtime, but that was against Time Chasers. Here, I feel like they do know the approach to the Bad Dudes net. As another one comes in, ooh, that was an attempt at the play. You could see that was Peter coming in for off the pass. Demolition in the net does leave it that open, but nobody's ready for a follow-up, and you can immediately see Bad Dudes on the attack. And you could see that in the rotation as well. The moment they feel like they have a ball, they always commit someone up front, and it does allow them to get some of that power in the offense whenever they need it. None of these, like, I'm just gonna clear it and I hope someone gets it. Oh boy, nobody got it. We lost the possession. No, nothing of that for Bad Dudes.
Did Small Brain come in 2018 Team XL cosplay? Because they are hitting the crossbar an inordinate amount of times. By the way, talking of crossplay, get your tickets for HyperTown Estonia. There you go. There's your plug of the day. Rico over to the far wall with the 50-50 challenge. Haloum had a good chance there. Peter met it. Here comes Dr. Zool now in from the air. He goes to the far corner, choosing to set up rather than take the shot himself. Haloum with a weak clearance as far as Peter. Dr. Zool, that's a not great clearance there either. Peter with the back pass to Rico. It's another shot towards goal, but not on target. One skunk gets it past Peter. Mex. Again, the pressure coming on strong from Small Brain. Rico with a chance. Goes high. Mex with a chance. Misses. Peter with a chance. Goes wide. Gets the second touch. And it just drifts wide of the goal. Rico back in once again, but by that time, the rest of his team had rotated back.
Yeah, Bad Dudes are surviving. Team Small Brain not being able to quickly throw the required amount of players up front. And this double commit, especially if they do not get a good hit and somebody from the Bad Dudes throws something on the goalies in the net, this could have opened the play. Finally, Bad Dudes got out of their own half on something resembling a counterattack, which would allow them to strike on their opposition. Couldn't do so. Perhaps this demolition, they get the boost, they will get the ball. I don't think that play is a tad too slow for Team Small Brain to not react and make it clear.
Halloum's in a difficult situation. Dr. Suurhall was in a great place to receive the back pass though. Pates with a decent infield pass, but nobody was there. The rotation all out of sorts, and Mex with a weak clearance. Look at this massive mistake coming out, and Dr. Suurhall does not capitalize. One skunk does not capitalize. Massive openings for Bad Dudes to take it in overtime, to take game number 1 in what could be a really close series, an important series for both teams. If they ever want to challenge for top 4, Pay to try to go
there's a blue.
Suurhall,
Oh my.
the 200 IQ play, bumping him out of the air, didn't come through.
Oh, I was so hoping to see a squishy. But that squishy didn't exactly work out through. He was going for it. He could see it just a tad off. And really, just a tad off is how you could describe exactly what was happening to the Bad Dudes. As every single one of their attempts when the net was oh so open, it missed just by an inch. But that inch was very important. They just couldn't get it through. Now back in their own half, it's dangerous. I don't think Dr. Suurhall got a good recovery. They really need to get that ball out of their own half. They do so. But he gets intercepted immediately. They need a lot more urgency if they want to break out of their own half.
That was a good save from Dr. Suurhall. You can see Rico had the entire net in front of him, and he did put on a very decent shot. Gets it past Dr. Suurhall. One skunk takes out Rico.
Mex blocks it.
What is Mex doing? What is Mex doing? Traitor! Hail Hydra! Hail Hydra! We have a traitor in our midst. And as we near 4 minutes, that was the opportunity, and they squandered it.
Max just thought, it's mine. It's mine. No way my teammate is going to go for it, and that is going to show in his nightmares if Bad Dudes end up winning this game, because that was it. That was it. With the goalie out of the way and that aerial play coming in through, Team Small Brain should have been scoring that. But should have been is not enough. And here setting up for yet another play in the midfield. There you have it. Max is the play.
Hail Hydra.
And
Hail Hydra. There's no other word for it.
And wow,
there's no other word for it. He saved a certain goal and then missed an easy save. I'm speechless.
Me as well.
I've got no words. No words to describe 10 shots on target and you didn't score a goal? What are you doing? Like, I'm trying to tackle it in a whimsical way, Jam, but that's inexcusable. 10 shots on target and you don't score a goal. Team Small Brain should be feeling aggrieved with that man's performance.
That was close to 9 minutes of Rocket League gameplay. 20 shots, though, that is extremely respectable from Team Small Brain. What is not respectable is the fact that it seems like many of them were just pot shots. And that steal at the end by Mex, who thought he had it. Newsbreak, he didn't have it. Or at least he really cut down the chances of Team Small Brain in this one. All right. It still does show one thing, is that this Team Small Brain, I'd say, on the field is still better than their opposition, and as a result, this was a close game. I know that they can play much better than this, and don't think for a second game they will allow their opposition to have that long of a time to come back. So, mark my words, I do believe that Team Small Brain should be winning this game number 2. You can't. You are kidding me. Right straight from the kickoff, similar to what these Team Small Brain themselves have scored against Time Chasers. Let's look at that. Nope, just a total miss, and Peta is not ready to shut up.
Hey, you can have 20 shots on target as a team, but all it needs is one missed kickoff for you to be 1-0 down within 2 seconds.
They'll take this handicap, really.
Yeah. I mean, they had such big brain plays up against Time Chasers. Have they exuded all of their brain cells? questions to be asked of a team which we were so impressed by.
Another one. Oh, it's
What
Mike
a big
just
play
roll
from
in.
one skunk. And Haloom's got his second goal in the first 30 seconds. But a massive shout out to one skunk. Bully of the century. And Mex coming in trying to make the save, completely fluffed it again.
My God, we usually talk about hitting it out of the park with the ball. Rarely do we say so with the players, but one skunk did exactly that. Him finding that ball on the wall and recognizing that chances are he won't be able to really put it on target. That's an awkward angle to take. He just went for the player, and coupled with a miss, that just gets you the goal. Bad dudes
Oh my word.
already looking for a third one, already having Dr. Zul coming in,
What a
blocked by
save.
Peta, but that's two players. That might really leave their defense empty.
Take nothing away from Pater as well. That was an extraordinary save. What a read. What a read. Right, it is action stations for Team Small Brain. Sort your lives out, boys. Because we know that you can play a hell of a lot better than this. Not showing it. Double commit from Pater and Rico. It's the same panic that was coming out from Time Chasers, but this isn't Time Chasers. This is a Bad Dudes team that was 3-0 swept comfortably in week number 1. We should look positively at Bad Dudes, by the way. They're capitalizing on all these mistakes. And some of the plays that they're now bringing out, with one skunk especially after what was a dodgy start in game number 1, they're really starting to come together very nicely indeed. But they shouldn't have been afforded that chance. Double commit in net. Haloom with a poor clearance. Mex, curiously enough, has changed to the Fennec in the meanwhile, but who cares when Dr. Zul has danced his way around the defense and Bad Dudes have a 3-0 lead in the first 2 minutes.
You could see Rico and Max just taking themselves out of that play. Zul and Hulum didn't even need to beat them, really. Team Small Brain just beat themselves, so eager to get on that ball. And you said it, it's the fact that this is no longer Time Chasers. You are no longer under that pressure, under that threat. I know that some teams do thrive against opponents that play that much faster and sort of then they make that other team feel more in their element. Is it that thing? Because Team Small Brain, again, shouldn't be that worried right now. They really need to take a breather after this game, because so far game number 2 is sliding away from them, and it's a lot of this really comes to them just overexerting themselves and getting nothing in return.
Another whiff coming out from Mex in what was a certain goal. Great opportunity set up there. And I'm going to disagree with you for once, Jam. They should be very worried, Team Small Brain. They should be hugely worried. We've seen such quality from this team to go toe-to-toe with, albeit a not full strength, but a Time Chaser squad that should still very easily be a top 4 team, even with Somic in for Trex. This is not good. This is far below the high standard which they set in that first series. Maybe it's fatigue, maybe it's getting tilted. Whatever it is, they need to sort it out again. Maybe it does require a change back for Pater to the Scarab. Maybe Mex needs to change again to the Dominus or something. I don't know. But they need to try something, because as things are going, it's going to be Bad Dudes 2-0 in the series. Finally an open net situation, and Pater's not going to miss that one. A lifeline at the very least.
It's a pretty open net as well. One skunk, I don't think he even attempted going for that one. He was comfortably under the ball. But Peta, you should expect him to take that ball. If anyone you should be afraid of on Team Small Brain, I still feel it should be Peta. So on that one, and with the rest of the Bad Dudes sort of ish all around the field, but nobody was really that close to the net, they are giving Team Small Brain that big opening. And from that small opening, something bigger might appear. 2 goals is already a much more manageable scoreline than before. And while there's just above 1 minute left in this game, Team Small Brain can come up with it. Otherwise, it's Bad Dudes getting themselves a match point. And really shocking Team Small Brain, in my opinion. Shocking our predictions, really. With what might be an upset of the day so far, but we'll still have 2 more series, and a lot of stuff can happen. Good attack, good attempts, but the Bad Dudes are not taking too many risks in their defense. They need a clear as soon as possible.
All 3 back in net. The bump trying to come out here from Pater. Mex goes wide. there were some good plays. I mean, I saw earlier Mex and Pater combining in mid-air to try and get a pinch. They're slowing down the play a bit. They're calming down a little and maybe taking on more specified roles. I'll tell you what, if Mex is tilted, then demolishing some of the opposition team, it's somewhat cathartic. Pater taking out Dr. Zool on this occasion as well. Mex into the center, straight to one skunk. Rico manages to just about pick up the save despite an oncoming Haloom trying to bump him out of net. Pater isn't going to get it over the top of one skunk and Dr. Zool, and game number 2 might be a write-off, but there are at least some encouraging signs from Team Smallbrain that they're not done just yet. Another small break to be had in between games number 2 and 3. Bad Dudes go on to match point. Look at that. From 20 shots on target to 5. And all 5 of those, Jam, came from one player. This is a team that has combusted spectacularly. And they need to put out the fire. It is as simple as that.
It's do or die for Team Smallbrain right now. After, I mean, how on earth can you get 20 shots in one game? And that, I'm pretty sure afterwards when we'll be looking at the stats, they're going to get some of the worst shooting percentage I've ever seen. If it dips lower than 10%, I wouldn't be surprised personally. They really need to step back up. But again, perhaps it's the car changes. Although right now, maybe changing back to a different car or changing again with their cars might be a wrong thing to do. Just throwing too much inconsistency into all this might not help them. I think main thing that you really need to figure out is their play. They really need to take this. It's a little bit too late to take this from a clean slate. They're already 0-2 down in the series, but they need to definitely get rid of those double commits. A lot of these plays are they are hurting themselves by being too eager to go on the end of the same ball. I'm trying to exactly figure out what was getting them all these opportunities, and really in this game, not that much. They haven't really finding those passing plays. I feel much more than it's the bad dudes who are getting those opportunities. Hello there! That's Peta. That's how you start a game. That's how you completely dunk on your opposition. There goes Dr. Zool. Whoever it is down in the net, nope, you're just eating it. One skunk. It goes off one skunk, but that was a great setup. That was a great touch. And Team Smallbrain now themselves getting a good handicap, a good start of the game number 3, and perhaps a way into the series. But so far, that's the best they can muster in all these games. 1 goal, and if this just rolls in, all that for nothing. They worked for that goal hard, at least Peta did. This just caroms off Max off the corner, and that specific corner just sucks when you're defending.
Important to note on the mentality side, Mex has changed back again to the Octane, and that's not going to help things. Right, 1-1. Peta, 1 skunk, and that bounced deceives Rico massively. 1 skunk goes off the backboard instead of going for the shot. Mex deals with it. Big clearance out from him. Wins the 50-50 as well. He needs to be looking at the positives. He can't look at anything negative for now. It was unlucky, the bounce that came off. It was a poor rotation from the team overall. It wasn't just him on that occasion. Haloom. There's Pater. Soft touch. Soft touch again. Mex. Pater. Off the backboard. Is there a third? No. Rico was too eager to commit upfield. And that was a good opportunity where the entire defense had gone missing for Bad Dudes. Pater starts from the back once again. It's 2v1. Pater trying to go on his own. He finds Rico off the crossbar, not for the first time today. Mex continues the assault from the corner. Gets a touch, tries to find Pater. Dr. Zool was there. In comes Rico! In comes Mex surely! And he whiffs it once more.
My god, Team Smallbrain just threw everything at their opposition, still continuing to do so. Mex with another try. But the passing plays are now coming out from Team Smallbrain, and while a lot of these passes are a little bit forced, a little bit too heavy-handed, and made in these small amounts of space where really they don't have enough time to react, and the ball just goes a tad off, it's still something that Team Smallbrain I think will be going with, because it is working. It is beating Bad Dudes. It is allowing them to get a little bit deeper in that orange defense. So I'd say expect a little bit more of that, because that's how Team Small Brain can start scoring, or just try and overload their opposition. But sometimes by overloading their opposition, they just take their chances and throw them against the wall.
You know, bless him, I've gone from
Open
critical to pitiful. Pater, it went wide, Dr. Zul was there. Oh, look at this, the backflip from Pater as well, getting inventive. No boost, Pater! And he's going to drag his team kicking and screaming from the pits of hell if it costs him any sort of dignity whatsoever. Forget the kitchen sink, he's throwing the house and the mortgage at the bad dudes. It's 2-1 on the stroke of half-time.
Dr. Zul takes that ball away from one skunk who had a perfect clear. Then Halum comes in, he was sitting on one boost, so no aerial plays for them, he just couldn't come up. At last bitch effort, they just threw their cars in front of the ball, couldn't do so. Team Small Brain gets themselves a gimme, really, because bad dudes had a time to make that defense work, but over eagerness and really not trusting their teammates, forcing that goal against them.
Dr. Zul goes wide, gets the second touch, dangerous ball, Mex with zero boost to work with, and fair play to him. He sets up Rico for a shot from downtown. There wasn't too much power on it either. It was just a complete overcommitment from bad dudes. And finally, Small Brain have some semblance of control on a game of Rocket League once again.
I can understand the bad dude's idea, and that scuffle on the wall where really nobody has enough power to really hit the ball. They were all very close to the net, but one great touch by Mex and one great touch by one skunk, almost finding a goal for the bad dude, something that they really need with those 2 minutes remaining.
Oh my word.
Oh, maybe close. No, Rico's still on it. Bad dudes, still, in the end, there's only one way you can describe it. The bad dudes did indeed overcommit, and they pay for it dearly still on the attack. Perhaps not as precise, but look at, they're back on the path of war, and they're looking for those open nets. Look at that.
What?
Peta, I see Peta has demolished Halum, but where's the rest of it? I see Peta, there you go, Peta in the corner, misses it completely. Oh, there goes Rico, almost a complete whiff, and yep, they just caught them on the rotation. Bad dudes putting all their eggs in one basket. That works out for them. Team Small Brain out of baskets, out of eggs, 3-2.
Look, if you're going to be missing so many shots further up the field, park the bus, folks. Park the, I mean, oh, what? Pepe hands. Pepe hands, Mex. Goodness me. As I said it earlier, I've gone from critical to pitiful. Nothing is going his way. Absolutely nothing is going his way. It is genuinely like Small Brain are playing with two players at the moment. And I feel nothing but sorrow and sadness for this guy. And that's why I say park the bus. At least get a W under your belts so that you can regroup and keep the series going. Please, I'm telling you, as someone who enjoys managing sim games, who enjoys managing sim teams, just get the W. That's all you need to do. Survive 40 seconds. Don't go aggressive.
And this is why you listen to Arlik. Really, it was just a series of poor touches. Mex gets the touch, but really it's his position that really forces him into that. I'm just gonna touch the ball gently, I'm gonna bump it up. And his positioning, he had no chance of saving that. The moment someone comes on top of him, he doesn't have the net covered. And he just giving it to the opposition. And of course bad dudes are gonna rush you in this situation and take the best of you. All that leads, all for not 20 seconds. Well, we might be looking for the overtime. We also might be looking at the bad dude just continuing their snowball, knowing that Team Small Brain are failing to close this game down. This attack will be in favor of the bad dudes. Let's say Dr. Zul, he misses it. So maybe the best thing right now for both of the teams will be just kill it. One skunk needs a great defense. I think he will get it. Peta, though, makes a setup. Just excited. Where is going to be an overtime? There is not going to be an overtime, Arlik. I can see Arlik, and he is not happy about this one. He does not want the game to end this way.
Rename yourself Atlas, Pater, because you just carried your team to that win. Oh my word, it's not often that I laugh at something. I mean, you just can't help. I mean, It was comical at times. I mean, wow. I just want to give the guy a hug. I just nothing with I mean, the fact that Rico got less points than Mex is hilarious in itself. But Team Small Brain, sorry, scratch that. Pater has just taken the series back to 2-1. Bad Dudes must be reeling at how they didn't win that, how they didn't just clean sweep a Team Small Brain team that is seemingly down one member and out of luck. Again, Pater can... They owe him a drink. They owe him a drink just for getting him that win.
Man, it was something that Team Small Brain could have had in the books pretty early. I believe at roughly by the middle point of that game, they were 3-0 up. And then the Bad Dude just kept on scoring and scoring and scoring. And really, without that last goal, and I just kept talking because they kept having the ball up high in the air. And thinking they just really need to kill it. One skunk with the ball, just kill it. No, Peta survives with the ball, somehow keeps it in the air and still manages to then get a goal. That was a miracle. That almost, in my book, should have been a Bad Dudes game, just in the way they came back and still had the momentum with them.
There's nothing more to say.
There's
nothing more to say. The dude carried for 5 minutes plus.
And then Mex and Rico, look at that, not reading that bounce. And of course, Peter has already lost his challenge on the wall. Even with the Bad Dudes on the right flank bumping each other, they just do some basic stuff. And Team Small Brain failed to do exactly that.
I'm getting Ram Ranch nightmare flashbacks of Super, like, carrying that team. Except it's worse. Pater with the whiff now. Completely open net.
I do believe there was a bump as well. Peta does get removed. Nope, it's just Mex. He's way too late. He tries to get the ball away from the Bad Dudes. And really, it was his attack. Team Small Brain should have been in position to neutralize that. And yet, the only player coming in for that challenge is Mex, who is unforgivably late. 2-0 Bad Dudes. You talked previously about handicaps at the start of the game. That's the best thing you can do. If they score another one in the opening minute, I'd say Bad Dudes just take the ball, not just the ball, the game away from Team Small Brain, and the remaining 4 minutes might be just a formality.
Interestingly, one skunk has changed up to the Dominus. Curious choice, considering that he was arguably one of the better players in that last couple of games. Haloum with a 50-50 challenge. Mex actually wins out, allows Pater to move on forward. One skunk. That's straight to Rico, but Rico is straight at Haloum in net, and Doctor's counter-attack just misses the touch that would have seen it go towards net. Pater, he doesn't miss his hit, but one skunk was rotating back in net in time. Dr. Zool into the corner. Good option. One skunk. It goes high. Double commit from Pater and Mex. What are they doing? Simple clearance. Completely screwed up to the worst extent. One skunk. Pater keeps on the pressure. Haloum gets it past one. Mex over to the side. Finds Rico's in a good position. Pater wasn't aware to come back as third man.
Too early.
One skunk embarrasses one, but Mex cleans up.
Oof, that has all the disaster written all over it. Pater jumped way too early, and with the two players, Bad Dude's still gonna get it. Just look at how aimed at the attack they still are, despite already being 2 up. And that's a triple commit. You see all 3 players by Team Small Brain going for that bell, something that I really was hoping they will get out of their game, out of their system. No, that's not how you win games when you are 2-0 down, now 3-0 down. It's not by just everyone trying to be a hero. You have a hero, you have a great player. Play the ball to Pater, support him, make sure that you are at least solid enough in defense before you're starting an attack. And yet, it's a result that we're seeing, and just not really working out in their favor. Pater may be setting up someone from the Bad Dudes, but they're playing reserve. They're sitting in midfield, sitting in their own half. Now perhaps the bus is being pulled into the position, but then yet still they're trying to start an attack any old chance they get.
Oh, it's gone from critical to pitiful to infuriating how many times these players are missing the ball. Mission failed, get it next time. I'm saying that at half-time. It's almost hopeless, and if I'm feeling that as a commentator, then I don't know what these players are feeling. Let's see whether Pater can carry out the big pogs and carry another match to at least overtime. Looking unlikely as Wanskog has an open net and he just completely misses.
There's a couple of extra touches I feel that he made that really lost the control of the ball, but just the fact that he so easily broke down to the Team Small Brain's defense just shows that they're not playing today, they played yesterday. Actually, they actually played during the week, but I'd say that the Team Small Brain
surely
is completely discombobulated.
Open net, Mex, come on. Pater, top corner, big save. One skunk, downfield, Rico. One skunk again over the top of Rico, and Harloom should have scored there as well. Should be 4-0. I
feel it's... Right now, yeah, I'm also thinking that this game, yeah, this is over. This is absolutely over. That... Okay, wrong game. This is not Carmageddon. Even in Carmageddon, you wouldn't take away your teammates. And they just run into each other, and that has been the story from Team Small Brain in this series. They just been in each other's way, stopping from making the simplest of moves, and man, another one just goes on banging. Although again, a toughie. That was a tough one. Let's just say that.
That was actually a good play that just didn't have the final execution.
Indeed.
That was Time Chasers. That was Time Chasers game in a nutshell. They just lacked the final product because they were panicking, but now it's just compounded by the amount of errors. Pater gets a shot on target, double commit in net. Keep the pressure on, folks. Mex, it's a good ball in. It's a great ball in. Keep it up high. But that's fine. There. Where's the third man in? No one in.
Really, in a way, I'm happy that Team Small Brain doesn't have another game today, because after this one, I'd be fuming, personally. I'd be in no shape or form to be playing the next series. They really need almost a week of time to first of all get rid of all the quote-unquote negative energy from this one and prepare for the next one, because what we just saw, despite them getting one game, just barely, at the very end, with a chance to lose it all still, Team Small Brain just throwing this game away, throwing this series away. Big respect to the bad dudes. Of course, it's through their sheer quality that they finally managed to get this. But, oh man, Team Small Brain just fell apart on this field today.
Jam, these stats are baffling. 4 shots on target for bad dudes, of which they scored 3. 7 shots on target for Team Small Brain, of which they converted none of them. I know that, I mean, of course, if you're aware of recent movie pop culture, of course, the Joker movie is out, and one of the big things about that is it's not suitable for kids. It's actually a very serious take on what is a funny/tragic character. Well, that was both a funny and tragic performance from Team Small Brain. I have plenty of words which I could probably fit into an essay on what went wrong for that team, because everything did. Every single thing that they did just fell apart at the seams. And it ended up closer to my original prediction going into this week for this game of 3-2 to Bad Dudes than it was of looking at Team Small Brain up against Time Chasers. It was like a completely different outfit, and it all stemmed from mistake after mistake after mistake, and you can trace that back to the Time Chasers series of... we can talk more about it after the break, Jam, but do you have any final thoughts before we head to messages?
No, I think we just ourselves really need to just recuperate a little bit after the series. Just from the minds were blown. The minds were blown as to just how many little things went wrong, and we'll be able to combine that with just more information about the match as it went through. So, folks, we'll see you after a break. Don't go anywhere. In about 5 minutes, we'll return with just exactly what went horribly wrong for Team Small Brain this series against Bad News, as well as we'll be setting up our next series of the day. So, just sit comfortably, grab a drink. Or rather, grab a drink, then go on and sit comfortably, and we'll see you in just a bit.
Mielesti pelaajan yliviimaa Tsekin pidemmän labasti no Gallinin signetra Bennett Lavea Tulion samaan Otrukov ja on nostaiksua Montsala lava.
Ir mirkļi, kas nevar gaidīt. Paņem tos līdzi, lai kur tu būtu. Helio ITV televīzija, kas pielāgojas tev.
We're 1,000 miles from comfort. We have traveled land and sea. But as long as you are with me, there's no place I'd rather be. I would wait forever, exalted in the sea. As long as I am with you, my heart can take you to be. With every step we take, Kyoto to the bay, strolling so casually. We're different and the same. Yeah, you another name. Switch up the battery.
Helio piedāvā.
Mēs no tā visa varam uztaisīt kārtīgu weekendu balīti. Tu esi Andris kā vecajos laikos.
Lai kādos piedzīvojumos tu dotos, Helio ITV un Shortcut vienmēr tev līdzi. Skaties, kur un kā vēlies.
Folks, welcome back to BSL Week 2. I'm Jarv Jam, together with our league. We just saw something. Something else, I would have to say. Team Small Brain, a team that we already saw today versus the Time Chasers, and we thought, hey, this is a team that is really worth getting somewhere in the midfield of all these teams. They've really brought their game against what we consider the strongest team in the league, the Time Chasers. And then this happened. The bad dudes just where at points they were unstoppable, at points they were perhaps lacking in the game themselves. But one thing for sure, I think we can both agree that Team Small Brain shot themselves in the leg repeatedly, then the other leg, then just bled out on the ground in that series.
I'm going to name it the most memeable moment of BESL.Pro Season 4, Jam. I've not even seen the next 5 weeks. I can't tell the future, of course. I can already tell there's going to be the most memeable moments. Pepe hands, Jojo to be continued, Hail Hydra. You could throw a bunch of Feels Bad Man memes over that Mex save of what was a certain goal that could have seen the series turn out in a completely different way to how it actually turned out. The collapse thereafter was astonishing. I have not seen anything like it at this sort of level, which we consider to be not quite RLRS, but certainly for some of these teams, they'll be hoping to be top of the bubble scene in Europe at the very least.
Yeah, and
it was just incredible.
Yeah, we really hope for these teams to make it in the European scene, and while we rarely get a chance to do that, hey, we still have some fantastic performers here. But let's talk about this game, because Team Small Brain, I didn't even think that would be possible. They didn't drop under 10% of their shooting percentage, the shooting conversion rate, but to have 38 shots on target and only make 6 of them. And looking at overall at the rather personal statistics, I believe Mex has 13% shooting conversion rates, so that's even lower than his team, which just makes for.
I was going to say, it's all personified from that game where he had 10 shots on target and didn't score a single goal, Jam. I know that you've got more to say on it, of course, but again, we tried to be positive and we tried to look for ways forward. But that sort of shooting percentage and that lack of conversion is inexcusable for this level.
Yeah, it's many factors. That was one of the biggest ones, obviously, because if they were able to bring a little bit more, but they've lost by 1 goal in game number 1. That was in overtime. They lost by 2 goals in game number 2. They barely won by the end, because bad dudes were just started scoring one after the other. It's Team Small Brain finally looked great in game number 3, but that 3-goal lead disappeared pretty quickly the moment bad dudes went on a roll, and only by the end Peida, with a buzzer beater, has saved his team. But I think by that point he just overexerted himself and was unable to save Team Small Brain in the next one.
Peita looked great in game number 3, Jam. Again, I'll disagree with you on that one. Peita carried the stable.
3 yes, 4 no. Series. Like 3
4
is...
no. Well, I mean,
yeah.
by game 4, he'd already done so much, and it was personified in that goal in the first 3 seconds. It was literally straight off the kickoff where he missed an interception. There were 2 guys in net behind him, and neither of them got to the ball and covered his blushes. Yeah, it was just, you know those clips on the internet of like building demolitions where they set everything up and then they set up helicopter cams, and then it's like, oh look, that's really cool, the entire building collapsing down on itself, where they paved the way for new buildings to take its place. We kind of need that. Do Team Small Brain. I think they've already gone through the explosion stage and the collapsing building stage. They need to build up a new structure, because the only way is up from here. They can't get any worse, I'm convinced.
Well, this is a tough start for them, their first week here, and it's an 0-2. They've already finished all their attempts, at least for today, which puts them in a very unfavorable position if they really want to make it to LAN, because with 2 losses, we'll see how the season will go, but I'd say that to make it to LAN, only top 2 teams will be going to LAN this year. It is going to be very tough for them. They need to win the remaining games. But let's talk about our very next matchup, since we do already have teams floating in. And it is, of course, our very good old friends, the Backflip Boys, playing against Mind Games eSports. While the Backflip Boys haven't changed their roster compared to the previous season, Mind Games eSports did throw a little bit of a change out. Out is Gustus. Out is Padbert. come in Flake, previous sub, and of course Timotheus, the Dutch import. And really, last week, while they have lost, still their performance has impressed me, and it's not the same mind games that has been ended up last season in the very last position on the board. No, I think this is a mind game eSports that can throw some punches come this season.
It was strange, wasn't it? I was more impressed with Mind Games losing against Imperial than Imperial's lack of control in all of those games, actually. I think Imperial, there's a lot more to come in the game, and it can take a lot of positives. But Backflip Boys, though, pre-season, I had these guys nailed on to finish second in the league. They've not changed their roster. It was a great roster to begin with, of course, making it to LAN in Season 3, and moving from one of the worst shooting percentages in the league from Mex with 13 to the best shooting percentage in the league. Kartu with a 75% shooting percentage. Now, okay, it's over one game as opposed to two. It's a bit of an inflated stat. Nevertheless, Backflip Boys took their chances last week up against Bad Dudes, and we've seen Bad Dudes, they are not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. When they get into full flow themselves, they can produce some very pretty moves. And Backflip Boys, they did the job comfortably against them. I think there's a lot more to come from them, certainly, and I would be disappointed if I was a Backflip supporter if they didn't take the game to Mind Games. 3-1 for me in this series in favor of the boys.
Unfortunately, our very last prediction has actually failed us completely. We thought Team Smallbrain, but Team Smallbrain just threw us such a big curve that, man, here, specifically for Backflip Boys, they really need to impress me come this week, because against the Bad Dudes, despite what I've just seen from them, it was by no means a convincing victory by the Backflip Boys, a team that has finished joint third against the team that has just come in the league. And again, it wasn't just something that the Backflip Boys have been doing. It's more a fact that rather the Bad Dudes were doing to counteract the Backflip Boys. And more like the Backflip Boys were looking a little bit toothless on the field. They still got the job done, but I didn't feel like it was in that convincing fashion that put them in for LAN contention last season.
I think Kartu's moved from the Venom to the Mad Cat this season. Big fan of that, and already within the first 30 seconds, the teeth are showing once more. Sarius, so often the creator in Season 3, notches up the first goal of this series.
A tad too late for these challenges. Mind Games eSports giving Backflip Boys the opportunity, and the setup, of course, was great on the flank as well. Backflip Boys strike with surgical precision, and you would expect him to continue on pulling on the pressure. Well, Garsho, perhaps not exactly dropping in well for his teammates. Backflip Boys are well geared to keep on putting the pressure on the Mind Games eSports straight from the start of those 5 minutes.
Timotheus almost managed to get the goal in from the impossible angle. Sarius finds Kartu, the two of these often linking up well from last season, and the pinch! So close to goal number 2. Garsho comes in from the ceiling to destroy Timotheus, the most Latin/Roman sounding name that you could possibly come across in esports, I'm convinced. Flake over to the far corner. Timotheus is there, but neither of them really get it. MacGyver's left to clear, and Sarius gets the touch over to the far corner. Kartu will start from the back, but not before being intercepted by Flake. Timotheus! Big save from Sarius. Although, to be fair, Timotheus shot right at him.
That was all goal at his mercy, and that turns into the corner. What a shame, because that shot was destined for a goal, and yet this small touch by Flake, it just bounces in between Garsho and Sarius and sends the ball up forward. Well, Mind Games eSports had not had a chance to recover, despite just off the fact that they were all in the attack just a moment ago. Still, a powerful clear is one of your biggest allies in Rocket League, and if you can execute that well, if your positioning is good enough, both for a save and then for a continuing save, rather clear,
look at this
will get you results. And right now, the Backflip Boys are really bringing the game to the Mind Games eSports, utilizing another poor touch. 1-2, they immediately set everything up. MacGyver not even close to the ball for that challenge.
It's a bit of half a dozen and 6 of the other, isn't it? Where you have too many open opportunities here. Oh, wow. Too many open opportunities the backflip boys, but that is an accurate shot coming out from Flake, squeezing it past Sarius despite his best efforts. In fact, it kind of came off Sarius. He would have been better off not trying to save it in the first place. There is at least a goal on the board for the Mind Games.
But it's a goal that, well, they got themselves an opportunity. Precision this time, the finishing didn't really let them down, just like it was letting down Team Small Brain. But this is all on the background of the backflip boys, I'd say, being a faster team, a much more dominating team that's currently in control of the matchup. And the Mind Games eSports were really to pull themselves up by the bootstraps at least 2 more times if ever they can really start bringing them back to the backflip boys. Just simple math, but also on the basis of the fact that they weren't looking that strong besides that one goal.
Oh, that's a great shot on target from Flake. He was the man who impressed me most on Mind Games when going up against Imperial, fitting in very nicely, of course, stepping up from the sub-roll, as we mentioned previously, 3. Halftime comes and goes. Still a 2-goal game here in game number 1. Sarius on target. And maybe there was some thought to try and save it. Either way, they were too slow to that decision, and it is a 3-goal game.
You barely can see that out of the corner of the eye, but the Flake makes a decision to just get out of the net, and his attempt at saving this, by that point, he's too far out. He rotates back on the wall, but from that position, he just makes it that much harder on himself to make a save. Just didn't see the play evolving the way it was, and thought that, hey, I still have a chance. Now leaves the attack completely boostless, has to rush back, and you could see that the backflip boys are already setting something up of their own.
Oh! Kartu trickled across net, but nobody was there to finish. Garsho with the 50-50 challenge. It goes up high off the top of the box. Sarius misses. Open net, I think. No, Kartu's going to go up high, going to try and get the double touch. Ends up winning the challenge. MacGyver takes out Garsho on this far wall, though. That's a play that wasn't directly involved with what was going on, but was important to stop the attack from progressing any further than it was. Kartu. It's a straight shot on net, and Garsho ends up making that goal by stopping any goalkeeper from making it back to the net. 5-1.
I'm loving these bumps. Garsho just doesn't even if he was going for the ball, that was a big whiff, but he got the player. In football, usually when you get the player, you get the card, sometimes you just send off the field. Here in Rocket League, you get yourself goals, and they count. Flake almost getting themselves an opportunity. Now, the backflip boys, that's a convincing win, and I'm already saying a win because a 4-goal deficit with the way that so far we've seen from Mind Games eSports, it's insurmountable. It's hard for any old team. And right now, this seems to be that the backflip boys have spent those first 4 minutes building up plays, getting the results, and really saying that, hey, we're going to look at this as a 3-0. I don't think we got any predictions for this one, but I think 3-0 would be a fitting result for this backflip boys here.
I was going to say 3-1 for this series, Jam. Actually, I think I said that before the game started anyway. Flake goes up high. The ball is left to Kartu. You don't want to leave the ball to that man, the man with the highest shooting percentage going into this series. Goodness me, Mind Games. Timotheus, soft shot down. Flake takes out Kartu, but there's not a third man there to capitalize on the effort. Sarius. Oh, Sarius. Oh, Sarius! Sing me a song of your people. That was beautiful.
And look at all by himself. He barely recovers on the well, but still has enough boost, enough power to follow it up. And MacGyver is sitting there on the wall. Honestly, from my angle, it looked as if he would be able to save it, but no. That's a 6-1. That is the notes of Time Chasers coming in through. And really, with the fact that Weite is no longer here in this league without, maybe it's backflip boys who will be stepping out with those double taps, with those aerial plays, really being that big all-villain to, or God knows who the villain will be in this situation, but definitely in opposition to the side of Time Chasers. 7-1, and this Brazil, I'm pretty sure, will stay. But that's a demolition. That's Mind Games getting flashbacks to their last season where a couple of big games happened. Weite and Professional Ball Chasers both have stumped over Mind Games eSports and Post Game Strong. And here, well, this is not perhaps the same level. It is not the same ease with which, really, it was how Weite and the professional ball chasers were getting these results done. But I'd say it's still, it's getting close there, and it's pretty darn terrifying for the Mind Games eSports to be coming into game number 2.
What's even more terrifying is that Sarius was playing without sound.
Oh my, another case, and he done so brilliantly if that's the case.
Yeah. Well,
Scary.
get me my salted caramel dipping sauce, because I've got a bowl of nuts right in front of me here, and it's looking very good for the Backflip boys. If they were down a man with sound, that's ominous for Mind Games. And even before this result, Jam, even before this result, I would probably say that the winner of the online league is going to be decided in the game between Backflip Boys and Time Chaser. Much as Backflip Boys fell away from the top of the league when they lost to Weite, when they lost to Professional Ball Chasers handily as well, if memory serves right, I think they're going to have to step up to the plate against Time Chasers when it matters, if they really want to stake their claim as the #1 team in the books.
It's going to be an interesting matchup to see for sure. Still coming up, and still plenty can change throughout the series. Of course, let's not forget about the Imperial. Let's not forget about the Black Diamond. These two teams definitely would want to take that second spot, because still, it's strange to say that, but we have one certain favorite to take it all, and that's Time Chasers. And the biggest intrigue is who's going to be that number 2. It's going to go with them back at home. Flake gives up on it. MacGyver just a tad too short to make that work, but that was a dangerous bounce, something that goalies everywhere hate to be defending against.
Mind Games have only one way but up. Garsho towards the net. It goes wide. In comes Garsho, and it was a missed clearance off the backboard again. Basics not being done by Mind Games, and they're being punished, as you would expect from the Backflip boys.
Timotheus, he saw Flake in front of him. I think a lot of trust was laying in Flake reaching that, but the shot was too powerful, and neither Flake nor Timotheus were able to react to it, despite still being on that line, despite trying to go for it. And it all stemmed, as you said, from the fact that clear on the wall was missed. Maybe that bump works, and MacGyver found himself with an open net, and something that he, I believe, has created himself. No, there's Cardo. That's Cyrus and Cardo. I thought there was a Mind Games eSports player. Too eager to rotate in the middle of the field. That's what you get.
Nice Mex impression. 1-1, tie game. Kartu with the save. Timotheus off the top of the box. Garsho goes up high to try and meet it. Both players end up whiffing. MacGyver wins the 50-50 challenge. Remains in the danger zone of Backflip boys. Flake towards the net. Into the hands of Kartu, who doesn't clear correctly. Neither does Sarius really. Is 1v1. Garsho gets there first. MacGyver once again into the corner. A wave by Kartu. And Timotheus picks this up in his own half. Kartu gets it past him. Blake gets it past Kartu. Sarius rotates in. Garsho. Infield pass. Missed by Flake. Timotheus saves his blushes. Kartu in, and Sarius has an open net to aim for. The constant pressure, it wasn't even that great, Jam, but it pays off 2-1.
I'm trying to figure out, yeah, MacGyver's out of the play. Flake and Timotheus end up being on the same flank, and I can sort of recognize that, but for Flake, perhaps the best idea, knowing that he has just crossed through the same flank, was to go a little bit around to end up on for him on the right side of the net, at least looking at it. Perhaps left, which he's looking from his own net, so that he just gets in a position where he can immediately go for the ball. That was just a little bit of mix-up in the rotations. Yes, maybe he didn't expect Timotheus there, but I'd say Timotheus had all the right to be there, and Flake, well, just takes out his teammate. Another mix impression, and we're just getting a lot of stuff like that happening today, and something that any old team would like to kill from their play.
How did Sarius get to that before Flake? Example of flash powers, perhaps. Timotheus taking out Garsho to stop the attack, but Timotheus misses. Sarius back in. Kartu with the back pass to Garsho. I don't really think that's what they were planning, but nevertheless, it's another shot on target from Timotheus. Garsho away and with the save. MacGyver and Sarius both going for this. It's in the favour of MacGyver. Big pinch downfield. Kartu. Oh, what a nice touch. In control. Gets it past Timotheus once more. MacGyver with the clearance. Here comes Garsho in to keep it in the orange half. Towards centre circle. Kartu. Wayward pass. He gets a second touch, but it only ends up with Flake. Sarius over to the other side. And good communication there. Garsho picking up the play onto the wall. Gets it past one. Doesn't get it past two. Timotheus there at the near wall. But here comes Kartu to try and get it around the corner. Flake to deal with this easily. Yeah, he's not got much boost to work with. But at least he gets it out of the danger zone.
Not for long, though. You can immediately see his miss. And then later return. He gets the player of the backflip boys on his way back. That really didn't clear the ball at all. And now, that's just giving the ball away to Mind Games Esports. When you get a touch like that, when you get a clear, at least like try and aim it. With them, it seems like they're just getting it somewhere. Credit to Backflip Boys for always being there to return the ball back. But in the Mind Games Esports, knowing that this doesn't work, you need a more of a passing play coming out through. And this is just inexcusable with two players on the ground, not making sure who's going to go for it. I'm sorry to really make it hard for Mind Games Esports. And another bump.
Oh,
I do believe.
Another bump.
Yep,
Another
Flake and
bump.
MacGyver just once again getting in each other's way. And boy, oh boy, they really... I mean, this is game number 2. They're currently losing. With only one chance remaining after this one, if they indeed drop this game number 2, they somehow need to figure it out. They can't possibly get in each other's way. That is just crazy.
Team game, lads. Team game. You're supposed to be helping each other, not bumping each other. Still retrievable for Mind Games, especially with a miss from Kartu. This one's going to trickle in, and Timotheus is probably going to be wondering himself how he scored.
Well, let's just watch. We won't see much action. There goes Kartu. There goes Garsha. There goes Timotheus himself. Well, that is a freebie. A freebie that the Backflip Boys wish they didn't give to Mind Games Esports, but it's a freebie that, yeah, it brings them within one. But it's, with the way that the game has been going, it's hard to see Mind Games Esports like containing on this. They got this goal for free. They didn't really work hard for it, and as a result, they immediately get punished. There's your backboard. There's the Backflip Boys in their own style. And look at that. Nobody's in the air. Sorry, Garshu even have time to dip out of that challenge. And at no point, pretty much at no point, I see Mind Games Esports contesting this one. This is the orange half. Backflip Boys just did a training shot with 3 players, and nobody contested it.
I was going to say that he'd gotten a sweatband out, but he was basically allowed to steal the girlfriend off the entire Mind Games team without much competition. Kartu tries for the challenge. In comes Flake. Bit of a heavy touch over to the far side. Sarius wins the challenge between himself and Timotheus. Going to remain on that wall. Remain a presence. Kartu now. It's Sarius onto the backboard, looking for a second touch. Flake with a really good clearance, actually, to be fair. And Kartu, in 2 minds, doesn't do the best, or doesn't take the best option. Requires Garsho to make the save. Again, it's an open net situation here for the Backflip Boys. But it's not really complacency. A soft goal coming in from Flake. There's no urgency from Mind Games Jam, which is somewhat contrary to their name, perhaps. It is a 1-goal game going into the final 7 seconds, but it's all just a bit lackadaisical from both teams.
Yeah, it's not their strongest right now, but props to Mind Games Esports. Just like Team Small Brain, they were fighting against a stronger opponent until the final seconds. That might have been a known goal, and we would be screaming our minds off here. Backflip Boys still managed to get it. And breathe.
Boy, oh boy.
The Backflip.
Now Kartu
boy, oh
doesn't
boy.
have now Kartu doesn't have sound. Man.
I mean, are you only allowed 2 players to have sound in your team? Are the
Yes.
budgets for the Backflip Boys that low? Folks, if you can sponsor
production
Backflip Boys.
Oh no, don't sponsor Backflip Boys. Pay for my new PC. Hashtag or what's it? www.gofundme.james.com.
Indeed.
That's either way, look, at the end of the day, it is Backflip Boys with another win. Despite the amount of hilarious errors that came out from that game, they still managed to find a way to win it, despite the best efforts of Garsho at the end there. They're on to match point. As long as they play good, they don't even have to play well, they don't even have to play excellently. If they play good, then surely it's a 3-0 sweep incoming.
It feels like that, although they're not making it easy on themselves. They are really hard at work trying to make the series as exciting as it possibly could, but after a 7-1, I mean, it's not needed for them. Just like those 2 O's in their first series last week against the Bad Dudes. The Backflip Boys definitely have much more quality, and we saw them in the goals that they have been scoring. Again, when they get into the air, a lot of these teams are not exactly able to counteract that. So whenever either Backflip Boys or, of course, the Time Chasers are popping that ball up high, all of a sudden you're getting the results. And I feel like the Mind Games eSports is one of those teams that is lacking when it comes to stopping a play like that. But then come these unforced errors, these small mistakes that lead to goals on both sides, really. More so, though, I feel like, though, on the end of Mind Games eSports. And then, of course, them trying to claw it back not exactly works.
Yeah, we do apologize for the extended period between games. It's the classic server maintenance issue, of course. I'd honestly say this is a very, very good situation for Mind Games, however, where they can just take stock of what's happened. At the very least, they were competitive in game number 2. It might not have been through pure skill necessarily, but it was a 1-goal game at the end, and Flake continuing to show good scoring form into week 2. We're just setting up to rejoin. I guess we're rejoining a server, maybe. I don't know. But either way, not all hope is lost for Mind Games. I'm just expecting Backflip Boys to come back into this one and take it 3-0.
It is possible. It's absolutely possible, and I'd say we should be able to see just that. Mind Games eSports haven't shown enough, I think, in my book, to be really able to bring the series back. Well, it is still absolutely possible. It does seem to me that it's too much power is on that side, and too many things still need to go right for the Mind Games eSports for them to really take this whole series. It might be something bad really needs to happen on the side of Backflip Boys for them to completely fall apart. They might not always be the best team. They might not always have the best results or play to their best, but I'd say that have the basics down and those solid fundamentals are enough to beat Mind Games eSports.
Can they grind out the win, or will Mind Games find a way to beat the reverse sweep? Another 5 minutes on the clock to find out. Kartu up to the backboard. Down straight back to, I mean, they literally just said, Kartu walked into the shop, he said, hi, can I have a goal, please? Mind Games said, yeah, sure. That'll be a free pass to you. Kartu's like, free? And then he took the goal.
I feel like Timotheus shouldn't really been going for that, perhaps. In that situation, him being on the far end, seeing that 2 of his teammates, wait a second, 1-1, Gary gets that one, but 2 of his teammates going in the backboard, I think that was enough. They missed in the end, but that then opened the net with Timotheus just flying past. This demolition, that bump, because Kartu has been just pinballed out of that explosion up high, does give Mind Games a pass back into this game. Alright, game number 3, shaping up to be quite an explosive one.
That was a save from Flake. I wasn't even going to call it as such. Apparently it was on target.
Yep.
The more you know. Over to the far side. Kartu wins the challenge on Flake. Sarius already up, but Timotheus was quick to the ball. Good awareness from the defender. Kartu up high. The bump, I think, on Sarius, who was trying to get the bump on another defender in net. The meta game at play. Sarius over to the corner. He was not in the right place to make the shot. Then the pinch from Backflip Boys. I almost turned into a goal as well from Garsho. Sarius finally getting a shot on target, denied by Timothea. Flake into the corner. Garsho's back, ready to defend himself. MacGyver whiffs. Sarius over to Garsho, who's in the corner. Helps it on. Flake with the save. Gets it over the top of Kartu, surely. Yes, Sarius is back, ready to defend himself. It's a weak shot, but he beats out MacGyver again. It's Garsho versus Timotheus. Flake looking for the demo, maybe. No, he's going to instead go for the bump on Sarius. Completely the wrong decision, and it's 2-1 backflip, boys.
And lack of that one extra player might have been the reason. Really, Flake was following Sarius throughout that play, or was it Garsho on the wall? And then he just completely disappeared out of the existence. He didn't really contest the play at all. His teammates were not able to stop that pass because nobody, as that pass was happening, were stopping the player setting up that ball on the wall. And it's just a free one for the backflip boys, as you just need to stop a setup like that. You know what the result is going to be. Someone in the midfield is going to receive it. And if you're not going to stop it, man, well, you'll have problems such as this one. 2-1. And Mind Games eSports will once again be beaten. Or at least temporarily. Still more than half of the game remaining. And with Mind Games eSports still looking for those goals, MacGyver seemingly to be that player who is pulling Mind Games eSports back into the action. That wasn't the most efficient way to pass a ball between Timotheus and Flake, but I'd say MacGyver still did a good job of sitting in the midfield line and waiting for, in the middle of the field and waiting for opportunity. We saw that last week. He was constantly looking for those chances. It seemed like that strategy is still continuing, and when it works, boy, does it work.
In and amongst all this wonderful Rocket League action, big shout out to the wonderful, the lovely, the beautiful, the talented Heku coming in with a rate of 37. Thank you so much, Heku. I hope you are doing well, and I hope that you are going to enjoy the action as it unfolds. A lifeline for Mind Games as they score their second goal, of course. Half-time comes and goes. It is still match point for backflip boys, however. They are still in the ascendancy.
Great touch.
With a great touch like that from Flake, you can see kind of why they're in this position. Garsho into the midfield. It's lands with Kartu, and surely this is Sarius on a play. What a save from Timotheus. Interesting decision from Flake there. He manages to, along with his teammates, somehow get past Garsho, but Kartu makes sure that doesn't progress any further. Wow, Timotheus winning the challenge on Sarius as well. Less than 2 minutes to go, Jam, and again, Mind Games somehow staying alive in this series. It's almost through just comical errors and a bit of luck here and there that they're staying alive. And you know what? If they're able to take it to overtime, I can see them nicking a game off backflip boys, despite how outclassed they've been up until this point.
Oh, you said 3-1, and this game, and a previous game as well, but this game seemingly especially, when this happens and the goal almost goes in, and with the fact that the backflip boys, I think, have slowed down substantially, and the Mind Games eSports now reacting to that pretty well, themselves liking to slow down the game. This is dropping down. Flake is gonna get the goal. A miss by backflip boys, and that aggression, even to just by one player. Look at that. Flake didn't need anyone. He didn't have anyone in support. The extra players might be coming up later, but he does it all himself. And Mind Games eSports, a rare sight, but they are in the lead in this game number 3.
All it needs is one error. All it needs. And now, backflip boys have a minute to try and close out this game. They were found guilty of this last season as well, actually, where they did look good, and of course they did beat the majority of teams to make it to LAN. But there's still a flaw in their play. There's still these odd weaknesses which they have to eradicate if they hope to beat time chasers and put their name in the hat to win online league play. Look at that, and what a great 50-50 challenge from MacGyver. Equally, what a save from Garsho. Timotheus seals the deal, and that might be a 2-1 series deficit, which is much better than I think Mind Games were expecting off the back of the first 2 games.
And thank God Timotheus was in the net for that one. His initial challenge kept the ball in front of the net, and then to be able to get out and make a finishing touch. Mind Games eSports with that 2-goal leads, this is theirs to lose. Because knowing the backflip boys, there could be a quick 1-2 strike. And a tie game might be just around the corner. But backflip boys just have slowly deteriorated throughout this whole series. I remind you, this started with a 7-1 in their favor. That was a Brazil that rarely happens. But here, somehow, it's no longer as fast, as urgent. And it just gives Mind Games an opportunity to bring the game back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually... I should be really happy with this because it lines up quite neatly with my prediction of 3-1 Backflip Boys. But it's surprising off the back of just how good Backflip Boys were in game number 1. You can see the deterioration starting in game number 2, of course. They were able to grind that win out. 12 shots on target, though, for Backflip Boys. Only 2 of those converted in comparison to the 7 shots on target for Mind Games, of which 4 were converted. A reminder that Kartu, coming into this series, 75% shooting percentage in his first series of the season. Top shooting percentage of the entire league. They've just very literally taken their eyes off the ball. You know, they've got enough in the tank to close this series out, but it's just a shame to lose a game when they did look so dominant coming off the back of game number 1 Jam, and that might be crucial late season.
It is very important, knowing that after the Series 1, it is the game difference that is main deciding factor. You might just lose out by 1 game difference and not make it to LAN, or not stay in the league for next season. We talked about it yesterday in the Rival Series broadcast, knowing how Baguette Squad fell out to Method just because they had 2 more games lost. Something similar might happen here. Just like that, you might have to force your way through into the qualifications, into the play-ins, just to get back. And knowing that the LAN this year is only 2 teams, it's even tougher for them. And especially among the Backflip Boys are in contention to be one of those 2 teams going to LAN. They really need to be careful. Usually in those situations, I just say, make your play as simple as possible and build from there. First of all, of course, make sure that your defense is as airtight as possible, and start building from there, because you know that the Mind Games eSports might not be able to really break you down. So make sure that at the very least your the back of your net is safe, and then you just start waiting for those mistakes, because it's almost guaranteed that 1 or 2 will definitely happen, and then you start putting that conversion rate back on where it should be.
It's Gar Show. Apparently, we're having an excellent view of our faces. By the way,
indeed. I was so enthralled about talking about this one for a whole minute that the scene didn't change. I hope everyone was enjoying my thinking phase. But one way or the other, it's 1 minute gone. We're in the game. It's 2-1 in favor of the Backflip Boys, and no goal scored so far.
Excellent. I do love those little bits. I love it. Okay, Flake, out from the back. Let's see what he can create. The answer is nothing, because Kartu stopped him immediately from getting out of his own half. MacGyver pops it over Kartu. Sarius misses the touch. Oh no! Word save. I mean, he saved from his own error, but wow, that was a close one.
Getting pretty tough in the defense of the Backflip Boys, and the Mind Games eSports are looking just for that. Knowing how toothless their opposition looked in the previous game, despite getting all these shots but not really converting them. Every single one opportunity. This game might be decided just by 1 goal, knowing how the teams, they went again from 7-1, which is 8 goals scored, to 4-3, that's 7 goals scored, to 2-4, that's 6 goals scored, and right now we're approaching the midpoint of this game and nothing has been scored. And I'm really worried for the Backflip Boys, because they should be the team right now to be dominating their opposition, and yet they're there on the field. They're making the touches, but the Mind Games eSports are no longer scared, are no longer threatened.
I did say there were a lot of positives for Mind Games to take out of week 1, despite losing to Imperial, but there are still some things to work on. Look at this, Garshow, it was a simple ball onto the backboard, and MacGyver was just too slow. And when you're slow and giving Kartu an open net to shoot at, it's only going to end one way. And finally, just past the halfway mark, it is 1-0 Backflip Boys.
That was a rough one. Speed might often be the factor in games like this one, and the Backflip Boys, I'd say just on paper, should be the fastest team, and that was proven right there with MacGyver being a tad late. And look at that, Sarius point blank completely destroys defense of Mind Games eSports. The setup by Cardu was great, but then just being here, honestly, that's personally wouldn't be an angle that I would take. But since Mind Games eSports were not there, ready to make clear, they were just in a more stationary position, waiting what will happen. They managed to bring the ball in, and finally, it took them half a game, but Backflip Boys seemingly are getting on that roll, and goals are coming easier and easier.
It was a poacher's goal, wasn't it? A poacher's goal at the near post. And the advantage doubled. Flake tried something acrobatic from the ceiling, but Garsho met it. Timotheus. Garsho's still there with plenty of boost to use. Down to 50. MacGyver on similar numbers. Gets around the corner. Kartu and Flake match each other. Sarius matches Timotheus' shot. Back into the center from Timotheus. Straight to Flake. He goes up high. He also goes diagonally. I don't know what he's trying to do here because it ends up back in blue possession. That said, there was a 50-50 in the midfield there, and Kartu forced him to his own backboard. Here comes Flake! And Garsho combining with Sarius to make the save off the crossbar. Still not able to get through the goal. Flake finally toe pokes it through the eye of the storm, and it's back to a 1-goal game with a minute left on the clock.
My god, it took them such a long time to bring it through, because the Backflip Boys, at times, they were just everyone in their way. And it's still those little chips, those little touches, managing to bring the ball past the Backflip Boys defense do get Mind Games eSports the result. At the very start of that attack, Backflip Boys were already looking close to being beaten. And then the conversion finally comes in. It's the persistence that Mind Games eSports have shown. Different team might have actually run away from that situation, but their eagerness to still get the series under their control shows, and that's how all that staying power converted into a goal.
40 seconds for Backflip Boys to hold on. Flake with a creative effort to go off the backboard. MacGyver wasn't on the same wavelength. He's able to put it back in though for Flake, off the crossbar. Here comes Timotheus off the crossbar, off the floor, and he's denied by the woodwork once again.
Man, that should have been it. That should have been the goal. Their setup was growing great. They had the boost, they had all the positioning. But that crossbar, today, something is magical about that crossbar. Perhaps we set it a tad too high for all these teams. And will this one rolling into the net, Mind Games eSports chances to steal it in the remaining 10 seconds do disappear. That aggression caught up to them eventually. It was Timotheus actually who didn't manage to get a challenge in the midfield, and he was the last player in. Man, this could have been different. This could have been a totally different game, and with Mind Games eSports rushing back in. But I feel like credit to Backflip Boys. In the game 4, they have finally woken up, and that start that they've shown really gave them that much needed confidence by the very end of it to make sure they closed down the series that had all the signs of it running away from them.
F's in chat, boys. F's in chat. It's so often the case in Rocket League where individual matches are decided by fine margins. If Timotheus had scored, we could have seen overtime. We could have seen the reverse sweep that some of you were predicting in chat. It wasn't to be. Centimeters separating that ball from being converted into a goal. And Backflip Boys make me very happy, at least. My prediction was bang on the money. 3-1 winners in the series. They move up to second in the table, rather they stay second in the table, rather. Behind Time Chasers, of course. Time Chasers are now 3-0 for the season. Backflip Boys 2-0 for the season. Mind Games moved to 0-2 for the season, however. And they they really need to pick up a win in the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, top 4 might be a stretch.
Yeah, but for all the teams right now going 0-2, their dreams are not completely shattered. There's still plenty of games to be played, but it puts a big dent into their chances. We'll talk about the results of this day and, of course, the final standings as we'll be done with our final series. First, though, we'll need to go on a break to, once again, figure out exactly what went wrong with Backflip Boys games. Well, nothing really. Some things went wrong with them. More like how exactly Mind Games could have won this and how Backflip Boys avoided that. So, folks, we'll see you after a short break when we'll talk about the series that we just saw. And, of course, we'll be showing you the very last series of the day, which of course will be Team Black Diamond versus Imperial. Still, don't go anywhere. One more series remaining on BSL Week 2.
Mieli spelając Isilviimaa Statein siten labasti nuo Tallinin signet prednes laveja samaan återkom ja någonstans från Salava. Det som ska ut ja viņš atgādināt spēlēt šogad.
Ir mirkļi, kas nevar gaidīt. Paņem tos līdzi, lai kur tu būtu. Helio ITV televīzija, kas pielāgojas tev.
We're 1,000 miles from comfort. We have traveled land and sea. But as long as you are with me, there's no place I'd rather be. I would wait forever, exalted in the sea. As long as I am with you, my heart continues to beat. With every step we take, Kyoto to the bay, strolling so casually. We're different and the same. Gave you another name. Switch up the battery.
Helio piedāvā.
Mēs no tā viss varam uztaisīt kārtīgu weekend balīti. Tu esi Andris kā vecajos laikos.
Lai kādos piedzīvojumos tu dotos, Helio ITV un Shortcut vienmēr tev līdzi. Skaties, kur un kā vēlies.
One. Folks, welcome back. We just saw Backflip Boys struggle a little bit, but still eventually win it against the Mind Games eSports. That was the third game of our series today, and we still have one more. But first, let's delve into what just happened in between those two teams. I'm still Jar of Gem, he's still Our League, and it was another one of these close games that could have gone pretty badly for the team we considered to be the winners. Congratulations, by the way, on the predictions, Our League. You got it bang on the money. It's 3-1. But it could have gone other way. Mind Games eSports had a great chance of just taking that series under their control, somewhere from the middle of it, and just rush and take the whole series with it. Let's say, just like the previous series, this had the undertones of, or the bad guys just completely overwhelmed their opposition. But this one had the real undertones of the underdog might just take over and get a reverse sweep going.
And Flake was stepping up, Jam. He was a real offensive threat and was causing a lot of problems for Backflip Boys. I liked the look of Timotheus as well. I think MacGyver, we kind of highlighted MacGyver last year as a player who on his day can flip the script and really be that supporting force. But there were a couple of times where he was caught out by the pace of the game today, and no more so than when the tides shifted back into the favour of Backflip Boys in game number 4. You remember that Kartu goal where it was literally first man to the ball is going to win the challenge, and again, MacGyver was just a little bit too slow on that occasion. It's the same story as last week, sadly, against Imperial, where there are positives to take away for Mind Games, and maybe it's just a case of the roster needing a bit more time to gel. But at the end of the day, they're still walking away with a loss, and they're still walking away 0-2 for the season so far. I think, again, Backflip Boys is kind of similar to the Time Chasers, where they'll have easier opponents, but you know, they missed their chance against the Imperial last week. They missed a big opportunity to surprise everyone by beating Backflip Boys today, and eventually those chances are going to run out.
Yeah, it could have been close for them, but by the end just couldn't get it through, and it's that loss against Imperial perhaps could be tough. It was a 5-game series, and Mind Games eSports really did their job to bring their opposition to that 5th game. Not perhaps this close here, and those 2 losses are gonna definitely hurt them. And this is still they haven't played against the Time Chasers, so as a result, I still wish them all the best, but so far the start for it wasn't the greatest. Also, a small correction, I did say that last season they've been playing with Pat Birds, but Pat Birds is MacGyver, so their roster for last season for Mind Games eSports, that is, was MacGyver, Gustus, and Pumpkin Digger, another Dutch player, now substituted, sort of, ish, by Timotheus. And of course, with addition to Flake, who has been previously their sub, it's 1/3 of the old roster, 2/3 if you consider the sub Flake. But yeah, just looking at the stats, it just shows that this was a very respectable game for Mind Games eSports. Disregarding that first game where 7 goals happened for the Backflip Boys, other than that, it was as close as it gets. The amount of goals has been dropping down in every single game. And it could have been going the Mind Games eSports way at any point in time, just that not enough power in their tanks to really bring it back down.
It was a series of mistakes. There were a lot of them from Mind Games in the first game, which is why we saw such an extraordinary scoreline in that particular occasion. But as soon as some good pressure started to come out from Mind Games, and again, most Timotheus and Flake, as soon as those openings started to appear in the Backflip Boys back line, those same flaws that we saw exposed in Season 3 started to expose themselves, and I guess that's kind of the risk that you run by keeping the same roster. Yes, you keep the experience and the synergy from previous seasons, but you've only got to look at post-game strong to see the risk-reward factor is and can be quite extreme, because you might not learn from those mistakes, and by having the same players, are you trying to still fit circle pegs into square holes, or square pegs into round holes? That was the phrase I was looking for, and I guess that we'll have to see the proof in the pudding once they come up against arguably their best opposition for the title, Time Chasers.
Well, best of luck to Mind Games eSports trying to figure out what they can do right for the remainder of the season. Best of luck to the Backflip boys finding their really good footing. Yes, they have 2 wins, but these were no confident wins by no means. But that's all in the past. Let's turn our attention to our very final game of the day. And that, of course, will be the Black Diamond versus the Imperial. This is the clash of 2 teams that will be fighting for that those top 4 spots, with a chance, of course, going to the LAN. So this clash, this early, would really set the scene come the later parts of the season.
Jam, it is also a tasty story of revenge. It is on the plate. Imperial, new team, formed around the experienced Raggis, who is a part of Scavenge eSports, which, spoiler alert to anybody who's not been keeping up the moves and who's jumped in to week 2, much like myself, I guess. Team Black Diamond is what was Scavenge eSports. Keo and Frosty remaining on the roster, bringing in Primer from the disbanded Spectre. I think that's a brilliant move. I think they've poached a super good player in Primer. They looked good against Time Chasers, and again, we have to preface that with it was a Time Chasers without Why Not Party, with Sonic V2 subbed in, and it was a late sub at that. It was unexpected. That said, Team Black Diamond looked good on their own. They didn't look they didn't need the Time Chasers looking out of sorts to sort of, you know, cover up any blushes. They looked like a really good outfit. And Imperial, I know there was a lot of hype and expectancy around them in the preseason, and especially having Raggis on board is a plus. But I think Black Diamond is very much the dark horse for this season, and I'd be surprised if they don't make top 4 themselves. Imperial, for me personally, I'm going against the grain on this one. 5th or 6th. I didn't really rate their top 5 chances much. That said, when you have Raggis looking for revenge for being dropped for Primer, anything can happen.
No, and it's just going to be that much more tasty, I suppose.
Yes, exactly.
Right, still a little bit more to go before we can start this game. Just looking back at the previous week, if I had to single out one player on each team, who really pleasantly surprised, it wasn't even surprised, just I liked seeing what he was doing. Frosty for Team Black Diamond was always that player in the right place. He was always constantly finding himself ways to get scores on the Time Chasers side. It was a worthy performance in my books. And on the other end, though, it's for Imperial Tagmata. I still need to get a chance to talk with him and try to figure out what exactly his playstyle is, whether he's being shoehorned here in the Imperial side, and whether it is indeed his role of being that third player, cleanup guy, who perhaps might be even the strongest player on the Imperial side, but doesn't exactly go for all the flashy plays. He prefers his skill to be in that defensive, in that midfield role, trying to set up his players, trying to safeguard his team, Raggis and Doobie, from them making mistakes. He's that cleanup guy who will make sure that nothing real happens. I'll just make sure you do stuff in the attack. Tagmata will be there to help you.
Yeah, we like to go for the aggressive horseshoe tactic, where you have one anchor man sending it out to 2 offensive players as opposed to 2 creative players feeding in through 1 striker, much as we see with the likes of the XPSG roster. And to a lesser extent nowadays, Cloud9, but it used to be all feeding through Squishy Muffins, Gimmick and whatnot. I'm rambling on. The players are getting on the field. Get on with our final of the day. In the blue, it's going to be Team Black Diamond. In the orange, it is going to be Imperial. Big game for both these teams. For Imperial, they need this win to really say, hey, we're in the fight for the top 4. A Team Black Diamond, if they still want to be viewed as underdogs and potential pretenders to the throne, perhaps, the overall online league win, then this really is a game that they need to be winning. Raggis is going to come out from the back then to start a counter-attack after early Black Diamond pressure. Tagmata battles with Keo. Keo wins out. Raggis on the return. Doobie. Speculative shot at net, saved by Frosty. bumps in net between himself and Pryor. There's also an orange defender just taking out both defenders in net, but thankfully there was, I think it was Primer on hand to eventually get it away. Tagmata and Raggis taking out Frosty and Keo. It's 3v1, but Primer's been in that situation plenty of times before and he saves.
Duvy's touch was also subpar in that situation. He had the goal at his mercy. Any chance, any way for him to set up his teammates, and yet that was one of the worst shots perhaps he could have taken. So back to a similar situation. Those demolitions won't be coming as easy next time. With Team Black Diamond now ready, and well, start again. It was actually a tricky move. That fake could have sold it, and Team Black Diamond could have reacted to it. Still, Imperial, it's the team that's currently testing their opposition much more.
Yeah, and Imperial going for the demo and bump plays as well, trying to unsettle Team Black Diamond, who were noticeable for their passing plays in week number 1. Keo looking to find Frosty, interference running from Tagmata. Raggis into the center, nobody on the far side. It's going to be Frosty's, although he completely whiffs. The rotation coming through, and Primer picks up the pieces. Up high, Keo whiffs again. Duvy misses his second touch. Primer with another speculative shot towards net, and that's really the story of this game so far, Jam, is there's a lot of long-range shooting, but not a lot of good passing where it matters.
Yeah, both teams are ready to take these clears to the other side of the field, be it on the ground or in the air, and just returning them back. But perhaps one of these teams really need to think, all right, this is not working. We're just playing volleyball over here, or badminton, or whatever your choice of sport is going to be. We need to take control on the other end of the field, and we only can do that if we just stop doing those clears. Maybe this slower kind of the play, not exactly going to get them what they wanted. But another threatening attack by Team Black Diamond, and then respectively answered by Imperial on the other end of the field. They have the players who are ready to bring that ball past the midfield line.
Frosty. Seems Duvy. Primer is only able to loft it up high. That's a really poor ball. Primer. Frosty rotating back, saves his blushes. Frosty now over to the far corner, straight into the front bumper of Tagmata running the Batmobile. Is the flanker going to make a return with the Sentinel? We shall find out in due time. Tagmata towards net. Frosty with yet another save. 2 minutes left on the clock. 0-0 draw as things stand. Duvy crosses the goal mouth to Frosty. Out from the back up against Tagmata. Tagmata stops him in his tracks. Duvy wins the 50-50. This should be Keo's to save. Goes up high. Frosty again going to clean up the mess. And really, so far, Black Diamond not in full flow. Not against Time Chasers. Is perhaps it a curse? If you look good against Time Chasers, then you don't look good against other people. Right now, it is all defense for Black Diamond, and teammates having to cover each other for mistakes that are completely unforced.
Seemingly, Team Black Diamond have found their match, which is really tough to say knowing just how well they performed against the Time Chasers. This is more nervous than it should have been, and yet still Black Diamond perseveres. But this kind of play, first of all, this defense is looking shaky. Second of all, that attack is not looking solid at all. Frosty going for a bomb off screen, but his teammates were in no position to start rushing that ball. Only if they really have broken the Imperial's rotation now solidly enough can they get something out of it. Other than that, they just gave the ball back to Imperial after that one initial attack didn't work out, and say, well, back to the drawing board.
And the drawing board has been consulted, the blueprints have been approved, and we are off the production line, folks. Finally, just shy of 4.5 minutes into this series, Primer comes through with goal number 1. And to be fair, it was one of the simplest passes from the corner that you will see in Rocket League.
And yet, nobody was on our wall to stop that. That was what made it so easy for that pass to happen. Just, you didn't even need to really get it off the wall that much. Nope, just, you were there, and that setup is simple. But when it works, when it's so open, obviously you're going to get it.
And once again, Primer proving an astute acquisition. More often the creator, but that is an open net that Frosty's going to gobble up all day long. And the overcommitment from Imperial bites them. It's 2-0 and probably game.
Oh, Duvy just trips the moment he receives that ball. I think he was going for a flip in the end. Flips himself upside down, and That's a get for the Black Diamond, who really didn't have to strain themselves that much in that attack either. Just having an opportunity to beating 2 players, one of those players beating himself, and even all the force of that Batmobile for Tagmata won't be able to save his team, as Black Diamond will be taking a 2-0 any second now. Any of the buzzer beaters obviously won't count in this situation, or at least won't make much of a difference. And there you have it, first game Black Diamond, but man, did it take them a long time. We were just basically asking each other, where is Team Black Diamond? What is happening with it? Why is the team that we sort of consider to be such a strong outfit is nowhere to be found on the field for the majority of that play? Great that you found those 2 goals, but where have you been all those 4 minutes in the beginning?
It was a pretty accurate representation of me trying to get out of bed on a cold December morning. Just the effort it had to take, or this team had to take, to find 1 goal against Imperial. And let's not ignore the stats that are up on screen right now. Imperial had 10 shots on target. Just none of them were really threatening. And it goes back to that early stage of the match where it was just, let's take pot shots. Let's take pot shots from midfield and let's see what we can do. Imperial, they had the right idea, I feel, by getting in the faces of Black Diamond, by going for the bully plays, by going for the demolition plays. Keep that up and pounce on the openings when they come. They did the first half of the strategy, and then they just decided to go home for dinner afterwards.
Yeah, just Team Black Diamond basically used those 5 minutes to make all these mistakes, make suboptimal plays, and recover themselves. And Imperial just couldn't use those opportunities in the time allotted. They will still go immediately straight off the kickoff, but no follow-up is found. And even if Tagmata will be able to keep that ball in there... Oh, actually, this spells danger, since Keo just barely stops Dewey after the ball does find his way to him. It is still a safe net for Team Black Diamond, but the pressure is not stopping. Recharge, they are coming in through, and those stationary positions and that lucky bounce does start this game off well for Imperial.
You can't spell danger without an ah! And I'm sure that's what Keo would be saying after that one. All 3 players in the right area to defend the goal, and yet Ragis still managed to notch up goal number 1 in game number 2. Off we go once again. Primer. This shot going to go high, wide, and handsome. And Keo a little bit too far forwards. Back to the blue half, and that's Dewey with a big miss. In comes Ragis with a big miss. If Primer can capitalize on this, no, he can't. In fact, he's passed it straight to Tagmata, who gifts it straight to Ragis. Holding hands, they walk it into the net, and it's a double goal lead in the first minute.
My god, lots of credit for Tagmata for that turnaround. He reacted to that ball being a freebie in the middle of the field instantly. And while that could have spelled some trouble for Imperial when they were coming back, no, that actually just, he read that perfectly. And stealing the ball from each other, Team Black Diamond doesn't exactly get this kickoff after a good start either. Imperial seemingly no longer giving freebies, and Tagmata is putting a big show right now for us. What a pinch off the ground individual play. And look at everyone's watching. I don't think they needed 2 players in the air, but none of them could help. Frosty was on the ground, I believe. He couldn't help either. Imperial, 3 goals, 55 seconds.
Oh, boy.
4 goals in this game total, 59 seconds. Slow down, boys, because you need some goals for the remainder of the game. Just a miss by all the players. I can understand the misses right straight off the kickoff. Tagmata, that's a little bit one of the heavier ones. All right, so we start this game off with a barrage with a handicap of 2 goals by Imperial, but I don't think these teams are done by no means.
It's not over for Black Diamond. They at least have a bit of hope through that kickoff goal, but the fact that it was a kickoff goal of all things, I don't know, that doesn't bode well to me. I think Imperial's just getting warmed up. Primer to Frosty, over to the far wall. Tagmata's going to get there and pick that out of the air. Tagmata undecided between the back pass, it eventually ends up with this intended target of Doobie, who pinches this one off the ceiling. Frosty towards the net. It had power, it didn't have precision. Tagmata trying not to score an own goal. Just puts Primer off enough, but Frosty's going to sneak in at the top left corner and make it a 1-goal game.
Primer did a lot of work trying to push that ball in. Keo just ready for any opportunities, but it was Frosty who then, amidst all that mess in front of the net, all those players trying to commit for the ball, does find themselves an opportunity to put one past Imperial. All that lead is slowly melting away, and they need to really gather themselves up. Maybe that pass was going to do it. No, if only there was a bump on Keo, that could have opened it up. Instead, it rushes straight back on the other end of the field, and if someone from Black Diamond is waiting in the middle, the ball couldn't reach him, but already could see two of the players for Black Diamond sneaking in, trying to make a chance at it as Imperial was scrambling to get back.
Frosty off the crossbar, counter-attack spawned by Duvi. Tagmata tries to find the pass to Raggis, but he was a little bit behind the play. Duvi. Frosty going a little bit too far forward to pick up the 100 boost, and he gifts possession to Raggis. Dancing through the air, but not much end product. The pinch coming out to Tagmata. Tries to get the second touch, does get the second touch, just goes a little high. Raggis tries to go under Keo. Keo wins the challenge, but it also goes wide, so Raggis did his job. Oh, Duvi with the feels bad backflip still gets the challenge in on Frosty. Raggis again past Primer, got no boost to work with. Miss from Keo. Tagmata gets it past Frosty, but the resulting pinch sees a counter-attack here for Black Diamond. To no avail. Less than 2 minutes to go. Still a 1-goal game.
Some great flags by Tagmata, just bring the ball back in. Counter-attack was dangerous, but Imperial managed to get all of their forces back, and now setting up something of their own in the attack. It is still pretty dangerous for position for Imperial on the field right now. I don't feel like they've really stopped the bleeding that much. It's no longer goal after goal. But with the way that Team Black Diamond constantly getting the ball past the last of Imperial's defenders in counterattacks and just good clears, it is still a dangerous move. They might once again catch.
Oh, hello.
Oh. In a similar way, they can catch Imperial players not ready to make those saves.
That was one touch away from being one of the goals of the season there. Just one missed touch from Keo to poke it in to make it 3-3. Frosty. Challenge from Raggis goes a little bit haywire. Duvi throws it back in. Frosty's going to pick it off the backboard, not before the challenge comes in from Duvi. Frosty now finally gets a better chance to clear. Tagmata downfield. Primer. Bit of a wayward ball into the middle, and Primer's picked up the 100 boost. He's going to go for a bit of a spectacular here. But again, Raggis, good backboard awareness, brings this one down. Gets the challenge in on Keo as well. Frosty third man in, but the attack is already broken down. In comes Primer though. Duvi not able to get there. Less than 30 seconds on the clock, and that's a super important goal for Team Black Diamond.
Oof, Tagmata usually always being able to bring the ball out. This time gets bullied off. And Frosty set up so Primer making sure that that one is unreachable. That pass was so crucial, and that shot was so precise. The Team Black Diamonds, it took them majority of the game. Now they must be in the lead. Primer needs to score, and he does. Team Black Diamonds, he might have stopped them for a while, but 2 quick goals, and there you have it. Duvi and Tagmata both forced to react to that with such speed. Then nobody is there for Imperial to get for a follow-up. 4-3, and Imperial will be hitting themselves. This was their game to take, and now it has pretty much ran away from them. 50 seconds for them to do something to save it.
The Diamonds are shining once again. 10 seconds to salvage something for this Imperial squad, who are going to be feeling so hard done by. Raggis not able to get it past the first man, and Primer throws it all back down the other side, down to the floor from Keo, and that is a really hard-fought victory from Black Diamond. It wasn't so much a struggle in trying to find the net, it was more a struggle in trying to keep Imperial out, but despite going behind, they fought back beautifully well, I feel, Jam, and showing a lot of character to really buoy them going into game number 3. The sweep awaits.
this could be it. This could be that breaking point. Well, Imperial really did their best to set everything up. Tagmata is still that crucial player for me. He can sometimes make or break the attacks. But what the Imperial really needed, and perhaps not exactly liked, they still got the 3 goals. But I feel like Duvy's unforced errors throughout this game might have caused Imperial the win. Just not every single time performing to his fullest. Not really that seen on the field, and when he was seen, it was at times those little weird jumps here and there. Just feels backflip man moments as well. So as a result, this might be this one crucial point that they just couldn't exactly finish it until the very end. And now Imperial are staring at the match-pointed Team Black Diamond, and I don't feel like it can happen for a second time. I think that the Team Black Diamond getting 4 goals, basically scraping back 4 goals, to do that, to make that same mistake the second time, of going down to Imperial this hard, shouldn't be happening. Shouldn't be happening, in my book.
Well, is this an open net? It is, but Primer gets there back in time. Tagmata loitering and not making the pressure count. Raggis with a soft touch down to Frosty. Tagmata's given enough time. Limited boost with this attack, however, for all 3 players on the Imperial side. Raggis with a bit of a wayward hit onto the backboard. Tagmata stops it at the source and scurries away to try and start a counter-attack, but again the attack slows down through him. You can read his body language from the car. He's thinking too much about what he's doing. And okay, thinking is good in Rocket League. Yeah, you can think of strategies, but this Black Diamond defense has been forced into mistakes from just pure pressure and pace. It's as simple as that, and not pressuring them is going to lead to opportunities like that, where Primal will score eventually. You can't keep him out forever.
On the contrary, I feel like just slowing that play down in a situation that he was allowed Tagmata to keep the ball for a longer period of time, and those little touches, flicks here and there, maybe there wasn't that powerful shot that you were looking for or a good pass for your teammate, but it was something that slowly whittled down the Team Black Diamond's defense, not on that attack. And perhaps they shouldn't rely on this playstyle, but to me, in that situation, he might have done everything he could have done. Now, though, it still remains an open question. Are they going to score in this one? Or when is the opening goal is going to come? Because Team Black Diamond only really need 1 for this one.
Good opportunity from Frosty. Good save from Raggis to meet it. Speaking of, around the world, Primer. He sees his teammates in the middle, doesn't get a second touch. Raggis, straight to Keo, off the backboard. Keo looking for the double tap! Too much time on the ball. That was going to be walked in every day of the week.
Yeah, you could see Duvy and Raggis both trying to bring the ball out, both really just making the touch on it, and then using all the boost to do so and get themselves out of the play. By the time Black Diamond approached the net with Tagmata in it, and with the amount of time that has been given, yeah, you just been beat. Or in that situation, I feel like Imperial once again beat themselves at their own game. Double commit. Tagmata will score this as he is in a follow-up for that one. A little bit atrocious for Black Diamond. 2 players up, and like, look at that, just zip past your screen, doing nothing.
It was as atrocious in the offense though. Both Duvy and Raggis failing to even get a hit on the ball towards net. That arguably could have been 1-0 5-10 seconds sooner. Tagmata, though, does eventually get that goal, and Primer's just taken out 2 of the Imperial defense. It's Frosty all on his own.
Oh no.
And he can't squeeze it in.
That Doomsday Dish proved to be a little bit too hot for him. Great attempt, and defense was completely beat on that play, but it all hinged on that one touch, and Frosty, as much as I've hyped him up in this specific case, couldn't do this. He was shooting in the bottom right corner, perhaps the bottom left could be a better option, but he gets his chances when he can. Team Black Diamond leave from that attack empty-handed. Will stir something. Great clear there.
Tagmata, no boost to speak of, and so Primer will take this and try and concoct something. He gets a little bit too complicated for him. Frosty straight to the middle, straight into the hands of Imperial forces. We're going to have Darth Vader's theme playing soon, who knows?
I was thinking.
Yeah.
That was a good
Keo.
one, actually.
Thank you. I tried my best. Keo off the backboard. Frosty lies in wait. Duvey beaten. Raggis didn't even have to be beaten. The shot was mishit. Keo looking for a second touch. Raggis Goomba stomps him into the ground. Frosty on target. Tagmata saves. Not that he knew much about it. Tagmata with the back pass, I say, with a massive question mark. 1 minute left on the clock, still a score draw.
They kept the ball away from their opposition, that's the most important, but as a result, Imperial were not able to bring the ball past the middle. Just now, barely that good clear, and actually with Team Black Diamond all out in the attack just a moment ago, Imperial did break it down with just one touch. And again, it's just that one goal is all they might need, one touch is all they might need. And here, with 30 seconds remaining and a tight scoreline, it could be either Team Black Diamond take it all, or the players are out.
Save.
Oh my god, they still had players to make a save, but the Black Diamond couldn't get to that shot to the bottom right corner. Primea just barely keeping his team alive for a second, still with a chance to make a second one. Imperial strike back. No, my puns are not as good as yours, Early come friend.
It takes years of practice, my friend, years of practice. But sadly, I mean, Primer, he's no stranger to absolutely insane saves. But even he couldn't prevent the third effort that came in. Keo tries to help this one on, but it could be Imperial's first win of the series, a much needed first win. Because, well, to keep it simple, keeps the series alive.
No!
Keo takes it to overtime with the buzzer beater.
Oh, if we would be in the business of counting the chickens before they hatch, we would be rich, our league. Another buzzer beater, this time to close down the day. Again, not yet, we still might see, but Imperial, I think they gave up a little bit early. That should have been dropping down, but with the combined power of all Black Diamond players to keep it alive, and that precise shot at the very end, Black Diamond might take it away immediately. 12 seconds. It's that man, Frosty. He gets the job done. And I completely understand, Dewey. You would be fuming after this one. And fuming they did. Frosty, bravo. You just took Black Diamonds and saved your team.
It's the be-all or the end-all. I'm so sorry. Black Diamond walk out 3-0 winners in the series. And it's all thanks to Keo, the man who was missing from that entire thing, steps up in the most important moment to bring Black Diamond home. They move to 2-0 in the league. And they go level on with a backflip boys. That is hugely morale boosting for them. They needed to take down Imperial if they wanted to make it to LAN. They've set themselves up very nicely moving forward in the next few weeks.
Yeah, this was a crucial match for them, and I'd say they performed valiantly. But one more time, the closing down the games, and we didn't exactly have a reverse sweep to prove the closing down the series is extremely important. But definitely closing down the games was something that hurt many teams today, and wow. Imperial was this close to making sure they're taking it. They're just bringing it further. I really feel sorry for them for what just happened to them, but it's how it is. You can't relax even for a single bit. They did, and this is the result. So, wow, what a way to end the day though. Still a buzzer beater, of pretty high quality, and then obviously. Then a quick turnaround. Black Diamond, their snowball already showed earlier in the series where they just got clawed back that 3-goal deficit by scoring 2 in quick fashion, and then another 2 and running away with it rather. So bravo to them. They know exactly how to persevere, and persevere they did.
absolutely. So this is how the table then lines up after week 2. Time Chasers, by virtue of playing and winning 3 matches, leading with a +7 goal difference. Backflip Boys and oh, hold on. No, Team Black Diamond lost their first game of the season. What am I talking about? Backflip Boys are definitely in second with that 2-0 margin. Then it's Team Black Diamond, by virtue of that good series up against Imperial. They move into third with Bad Dudes in fourth. They are joined on the 1-1 margin by Imperial, who after winning against Mind Games, of course, lost against Black Diamond, and propping up the leaderboard then post-game strong. Not playing has seen them actually move up places. They're up to 6th with a 0-1, Mind Games 0-2, and Team Small Brain, they played 2, they lost 2. That's, I mean, that was quite a story in itself. But speaking of stories, Jam, who do you think had the best one today in terms of teams, in terms of players? I want to hear your thoughts on who outperformed, who really shined amongst the field.
Well, of course, it would be just easy to take someone from Time Chasers, but this week it wasn't as crazy as I would have expected. Really, it was an incredibly close affair, perhaps in the game number 3, where Team Small Brain finally succumbed to the pressure by Time Chasers. So to make a choice out of all these fantastic players, it's gonna be incredibly tough, but I might still give it to Frosty. Last week, I really wanted to give it to Frosty. We were, together with Face, we were selecting between Tagmata, Trex, and my throw into the hat was Frosty, but Trex was just too incredible. What Trex did last week blew everyone's minds. Him without sound and him with sound is as if it was a Diamond player and a Grand Champ player. Or, not exactly as bad, but the difference was just like that. Let's just say a simple Grand Champ player and an RLCS player. That's just how everything has changed with him finally fixing his tech issues and exploding on the field. So this week, my MVP is gonna be Frosty. While not being maybe as crucial, I'd still say he made some fantastic plays. I do believe he was the player who scored that buzzer beater. Then he, of course, scored the goal to just complete the series for his team. So, and with his performance on the field in the previous games, he earns my MVP award.
It was Keo with the buzzer beater. For sure.
All right.
But I do agree that Frosty had a good week. But I'm going to do something which I don't think I've ever done before, and my MVP is going to be selected from a team that lost this week.
Interesting.
My MVP's Flake. I think he kept Mind Games in that series with the Backflip Boys too many times. He showed a lot of scoring prowess. He showed a lot of creativity. And I think he showed the best of what Mind Games were capable of today. And if he can keep that going forward, then Mind Games will pick up some wins here or there. I think there's good things coming from him, especially after he stepped up from being a sub last season. I think this week is a very good demonstration of what he's capable of.
Actually, I was interested in seeing exactly how Frosty and Flake match up. This is on your screen right now. Is overall stats for the season for Frosty and Flake. Obviously, this is based on 2 weeks already, not just today. But let's just see that Frosty is leading, I think, in every single category. So yeah, it's hard to really that exactly compare them. Specifically, our MVPs are based on this week's performance. But I do agree that Flake did a lot for Mind Games this week. We were looking for Timotheus for perhaps to carry that team, but I think it's Flake who was appearing in all the right positions. He was that jack in the box, just spraying out of nowhere and bam, we're getting the goals. Or some just great plays. So yeah, if it wasn't for Frosty, I'd say Flake could have been my second pick indeed as well.
I'm giggling to myself. I think I'll share that joke with you off stream, Jam, mostly because I want to be courteous and such, and I want to be courteous to all of you, audience, for joining us. If you were here from the beginning, if you joined late on, if you joined with Heku's Raid, we much appreciate your time. Be sure to give us a follow here on Twitch on Twitter as well at BESL.Pro for all of your Baltics eSports news and whatnot. If you're feeling extra cheeky, can you subscribe to this channel?
Sure, I mean,
Sure. If you can subscribe to this channel,
it's
then
Twitch.
go for it. Also join up.
You can do whatever.
Yeah. But you can definitely follow. Also join our Discord. Good bunch of people there. And of course, don't forget to buy your tickets for HyperTown Tallinn at the end of November, where our LAN finals are being staged. Yeah, I think that's all I need to say. Jam. I think I've. There's been plenty said today. There's been plenty said, and I've run out of words.
Right, well, before we go, let's just take one quick last look on the games that have been played today. We started the day with Time Chasers versus Team Small Brain. That, of course, went to Time Chasers in a 3-0, but that 3-0 doesn't tell the whole story, because Team Small Brain started with bringing their opposition to overtime, and then doing a... Basically, it was closer than we anticipated. Much closer than we anticipated, and while Time Chasers do eke it out, Team Small Brain, that's where we've seen, decided that Team Small Brain should be, wow, this is their debut, and they should be crushing the opposition further on, because if they play like that against Time Chasers, they should be that strong. It didn't prove to be true, because we saw in the next series them losing against Bad Dudes 1-3, and it's just as if all this team has been let out of them past that first series, and I said it at the end of that, if Team Small Brain had to play another game that day, that would have been like an 0-3, immediate 0-3 for me. Just how tilted Team Small Brain looked at the end of the day. Of course, then back to the boys were on your screen playing against the Mind Games eSports, and that was one of those series that could have gone both ways, but the Mind Games eSports couldn't close it down, just like Imperial couldn't exactly close it down in the series that we just saw versus the Black Diamond. It's tough, but at this level, in this league, you need to make all these shots count, all these opportunities work, and it seems like the Mind Games eSports really were struggling with that one, and Imperial also let the game run away from it. Right, well, I think by this point, the week as it is, it has been closed. But indeed, Arlik, you've mentioned a little something called HyperTown.
What? Me?
Yeah, might have been you.
Surely not.
Nope, I'm pretty sure it was you. So, just for you folks who don't know, this whole show, us, CSGO, and Guns of Boom, that's a mobile game. Do check it out. We'll be going to Tallinn in December. Oh, rather, December. No, that's the RLCS. November of this year.
End of November.
Indeed, 23rd, 24th of November. And will be held in Saku Suurhall in Tallinn. And tickets are already on sale, so go to www.hypertown.pro. And if you're a student, if you're a group of people, or if you're a family coming there, hey, grab your tickets, you'll get a discount. Of course, you'll see not just these esports disciplines, but there's a whole tech hall, their cosplay convention happening, and you can actually register for a cosplay show if you want to get in the costume yourself. Registration is open until 27th of November. You can go and register at the very same site, www.hypertown.pro. You can be either do a cosplay, you can dress up a mannequin in a cosplay of your choice. And I remember we were looking with our league back earlier in this year in Riga, and just looking at all of these. I remember Mojo Jojo was there. Wow, yes. It was some great display. And if you're into that, either watching it or actually making it yourself, make sure you get there with your stuff. Of course, I mentioned Guns of Boom. Guns of Boom is a mobile game. It's more of like an action game, but the finals for basically the World Championships, because players from Brazil, from India, from US and Europe will all be playing there for a prize pool of no less than $170,000. That is the biggest prize pool ever.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot. But that is an achievement hunter joke for y'all. That is the biggest prize for any Baltic esports event, so to have it there in Tallinn, it's a big privilege. But even if you can't make it to Tallinn, although we heartily recommend to you to do so, we'll be there. We'll be having so much fun, and I hope you can make it there to have that fun as well. You can still do things from your home. If you play PUBG, and of course PUBG is being played every single Saturday on stream here for BSL Leagues. You can participate in PUBG skill contest every Wednesday starting from 7 p.m. local time. That is for Baltic States. And PUBG and CSGO. More info at www.BESL.Pro. You play, you earn points. Those points mean prizes. And as a result, hey, you can win something even without participating in the league itself. Whew. Well.
Good read.
Thank you. But that's it. That's it for week number 2. We already had PUBG. We already had CSGO. Another hello to Heko, of course, who has hosted the Saturday event and has, of course, given us such a generous host. Next week, it's all gonna repeat the same. Estonia and Lithuania will be playing their CSGO matches throughout the week. You'll be able to check them out at this very channel for Estonian games and on the BESL.Pro _LT for the Lithuanian matches. Of course, they will be playing. Actually, they won't be playing PUBG during the week, as far as I know. Yep, it's all happening on Saturday. And of course, on Saturday, the main PUBG show, as well as Latvian CSGO games, are going to be broadcast. And next Sunday, at the very same time, 3 p.m. local time, Rocket League will return back with our fantastic faces, tell you more about exactly what's happening in the world of rocket-powered football kind of sports.
Nailed it.
And yep, that's it. So thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next week. And hey, just stay awesome. I've been JarvJam. That's me. He's been Ireleak. That's him. And
I'm me.
He is him. I'm checked. It's definitely him. And of course, we'll see you next week. We will see you then. Goodbye.
Sisseľajons izpildījumā spēcīgs no labās no galīnijas viņa pretinieks labajā brīdī tālāk otru jau noslēgšos mums savā labā. Tiešām skaisti mums teikt. Ja viņš šādi turpinās spēlēt šogad...
Ir mirkļi, kas nevar gaidīt. Paņem tos līdzi, lai kur tu būtu. Helio ITV televīzija, kas pielāgojas tev.
We're 1,000 miles from comfort. We have traveled land and sea. But as long as you are with me, there's no place I'd rather be. I would wait forever, exalted in the sea. As long as I am with you, my heart continues to beat. With every step we take, Kyoto to the bay, strolling so casually. We're different and the same. Yeah, you and me. Switch up the batteries.
Helio piedāvā.
Mēs no tā viss varam uztaisīt kārtīgu weekend balīti. Tu esi Andris kā vecajos laikos.
Lai kādos piedzīvojumos tu dotos, Helio ITV un Shortcut vienmēr tev līdzi. Skaties, kur un kā vēlies.